All right, so it's a great day wherever you are around the globe. Good morning from Ghana and welcome to the AM show on the Joy News channel. It's yet another day for us to see what we can do to move this country forward. If you're a Ghanaian, be proud and, be committed to the fight to develop this country. Do not look at what someone is doing wrong. Just look at what someone is doing right and play your part. Together, with a tiny effort we put together, we can move this country forward. Welcome again to the show. Now, let me run you through how this day will go. Now, we'll start with the News Review. Political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asante, will be our guest this morning. After that, we'll bring you the AM Sport, where Muftau Nabila will be bringing you the latest from the world of sport. So what's happening from the various camps, we'll tell you. Also then bring you the big stories. The Ghana Gas Senior Staff Association is rejecting a report from Parliament's Committee on Mines and Energy on a gas supply agreement between the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, and the GENSER Energy Ghana Limited. Why are they doing that? They're saying that the deal involves the provision of 50 million standard cubic feet of raw gas daily to GENSER Energy. Now, the chairman of Ghana Gas Senior Staff Association, Richmond Alamu, is concerned that the deal's condition could negatively impact consumers and potentially lead to some losses for Ghana. Would speak to the stakeholders on this particular matter. Now, also on the show, we'll engage in the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. There are a lot of opportunities ongoing, but how many of you do know? The NEIP says it has trained 24,000 youth in innovative agriculture project under the Ghana Cares of Atampa program and has dispersed grants to 1,000 beneficiaries so far. How can you take advantage of that? Also, some 30 tech hubs across the 16 regions of the country have benefited from government's 80 million cities capacity building program under the NEIP's Hubs Acceleration Grant Program of the Ghana Economic Transformation Project, GETP. Our guest is Kofi Ofosun-Kansa, CEO of NEIP. So stay with us and let's learn what more we can do together. Now, it's a Wednesday. So remember, we'll bring you AM Business. Ketsi EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, would bring you AM Business. We'd like we do every Wednesday. Today, we'll tell the story of how help has come for Abam, a yogurt seller, and a level 200 student of the University of Ghana who was aspiring to be a geophysicist, but feared his hopes will be dashed because of financial challenges. Now, we'll also bring you Chale Wote. Okay, so come, let's go. Then we'll bring you live update from the ongoing Chale Wote Festival of Arts and Culture. Watch out for that later on the show. But you know what? The show is about you. So we give you the opportunity for you to have your say on all of the issues that we'll be discussing. You have the chance to join us later on the show with your viewpoints. So note them down when the chance comes, and then you can pick your phone, call us, and we'll share the rest of your views. So that's how it's going to be. We're grateful to you for making us a part of your morning. Thank you so much. On behalf of the team, I say welcome. But you know what? Rise and shine, dear friend. Good morning. Up next is AM News. Good morning and welcome to the AM News here on the Joy News channel. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is touting his dedication and allegiance to the MPP, positioning himself as a suitable choice to lead the party. He pledges to carve a distinct path towards economic prosperity if chosen as the MPP's leader. With the party's Super Delegate Congress just 3 days away, Samuel Mbra from our political desk sheds light on his candidacy.
He is an economist with experience at the central bank. He transitioned into politics and was the first to introduce a data-driven narrative in Ghana's political landscape, gaining trust among Ghanaians. His prominence picked during the 2012 election petition.
Let us put down my analysis and show me one repeated polling station in my analysis. If you are afraid of the truth, then of course you will hide behind these exhibit numbers.
His father, Mumuni Bawumia, co-founded the Northern People's Party, with SD Dombo contributing to the birth of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, sparking arguments for the Dombo faction to lead the NPP, given the historical representation of Dankwa and Buzia.
They will be in trouble. They know we will break the gates. They know John Mahama cannot take me on in the north. I will beat him in the north. I will beat him in the north. They know it.
However, some contend that politics transcends tribal lines and prioritizes competence. His role in reducing the NPP's parliamentary deficit from over 80% to under 60% in the northern regions since 2008 is highlighted, making him a strong contender against NDC's John Mahama after the 2020 elections. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's candidacy garners extensive nationwide endorsements from both within and outside the NPP. Notably, Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Dan Botry, is among NPP stalwarts supporting him.
Based on my knowledge and experiences in the party, I have come to conclude that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the right person who holds the future of this party. So please, I will urge all of you to come out together to vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is passionately underlining his dedication to the NPP, emphasizing he has never abandoned his responsibility.
I have sacrificed for the party. I have defended the party in good times and in challenging times. I have never wavered or slacked. Never.
He therefore assures that if elected, he will lead the country towards economic prosperity.
Together with you, I want to see a Ghana with an education system tilted towards STEM, robotics, artificial intelligence, digital and vocational skills to cope with the demands of the fourth industrial revolution.
Though several surveys predict a landslide victory for him, the Superdelegates Congress will be the litmus paper to test how strong his signal is to lead the NPP. For Joy News, Samuel Mbura.
Royals from the four recognized gates of the Wala traditional area have thrown their weight behind flag bearer hopeful and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, urging the delegate to vote massively for him in Saturday's special voting. According to them, among the 10 aspirants, Dr. Bawumia stands tall, and given the opportunity, he will be the one who can transform and stabilize the country's economy. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam report from Wa.
The press conference, which was held at Neriyankpong, a place reserved for the selection of a new overlord of the Wala traditional area, was attended by Nabi or royals from all the four recognized gates in the Wala traditional area that are heirs to the Wala throne. According to the Wala royals, among the 10 competent, fine and respected gentlemen that have expressed their intention to put themselves before the special delegates of the New Patriotic Party NPP is one of their own and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Governor Jamaldeen Adam Akpagala read a statement on their behalf.
After a deep reflection and critical scrutiny of the aspirants, we have come to a firm conclusion that His Excellency Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia is the man of the moment with the requisite qualification, experience, competence, appeals to the voters, temperament, vision, strategy to consolidate the gains made so far by the government of President Akufo-Addo in its march to transform the structure of the economy and accelerate the socio-economic development in today's technological and digitalized global setting. The country saw a steady economic improvement between 2017 and 2019 with pro-poor policies of free education, improvement in roads, health, agriculture, industry, employment for the youth. The challenges of COVID and other global issues have twisted this trajectory. The government is holding on, and a turnaround is envisaged. Given the chance, Dr. Bawumia will see this country through and put her on the course of economic transformation and stability.
Given the opportunity, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will put the country on the right track, transform the economy, and stabilize it. They averred that the vision and principles of the MPP and the Akufo-Addo government is in sync with that of the forebears of the Northern People's Party in pre-independence.
Alhaji Biki Adama Wala South, Jato Kaleo Wala North, SD Dombo, Jirapa Lambuse, Abaifa Kabo, Nora Nandong, Momunu Bawumia, South Mampusi East, CK Tedam, Kasina Nankana North, J.A. Brahma, Gonja East, Adama Amandi, Boku, Yakubu Tali, Tolona, Dagomba South, to mention a few. These were proud princes of the North, most of whom later in life ascended to traditional kings and continued to serve their people. This is what Dr. Bawumia brings: leadership without discrimination and leadership with a vision to confront the challenges in contemporary times where technology and information shape the global economy. He has shown his mettle and capacity that, given a chance, he can harness this party's rich human capital to accelerate the party's transformation agenda to raise the fortunes of this country, to take up Ghana's true place as a front runner in Africa's development.
Now, the head of mental health unit at the Techiman Zuno Hospital, Twang Gilbert, has expressed concerns over the lack of mental health facilities in the area. He said the number of mental health illnesses recorded in farming communities is on the rise, as most farmers are into the abuse of hard drugs to aid their work, and steps need to be taken to incorporate mental health services into the National Health Insurance Scheme. And Asabet has more in this report.
Substance use and misuse can affect every aspect of a person's life, and health experts say substance abuse is contributing to the increase in mental health cases, particularly amongst rural folks where access to treatment centers are limited. Head of mental health unit at Zuno Hospital, Twang Gilbert, says most farmers are into hard drug abuse due to its ability to aid their work whilst on the field.
In my area of practice as a mental health officer, I've come across so many conditions of mental health concern. In our jurisdiction, commonly we come across the tramadol and then the weed or marijuana abuse, which is leading to addiction. So we have realized that in this our area or this jurisdiction, the mental health cases arising are commonly from the substances. And we know we are surrounded by a lot of farming communities, which commonly they abuse some of these hard drugs just to be able to work or to stay on their feet and work. And then the cases we have recorded so far accounting to mental health conditions are coming from the hard drugs.
The mental health expert expresses worry at the unavailability of rehabilitation centers throughout the Middle Belt and asks that Zuno Hospital is working towards establishing the first rehabilitation center in the region.
If you look at the area from the Middle Belt coming to the Northern Belt, we can only count one, which I know is in Kumasi Rehabilitation Center. The rest, we have to transport patients from Techman and then from the north to Accra or Cape Coast, who have the major rehabilitation centers. Apart from that, we cannot boast of any rehabilitation center in our Northern Belt, even in Bono East or Bono region. So we have taken this initiative. We want to be the first facility to set up this facility to take care of the needs of people suffering from addiction and their mental health problems.
He wants the National Health Insurance Authority to incorporate mental health into its care. He also wants government to subsidize the treatment cost of mental health to help enroll more mental health patients onto the scheme.
To the best of my knowledge, NHI doesn't cover rehabilitation. That is to the best of my knowledge. It is very necessary if NHI or government, Ministry of Health or Ghana Health Service is able to incorporate this into the client care. A lot of people come into this not because of their own will. Some are peer group influence, some are lured into it. So you realize that some people are really willing to get out of it, but the resources to be able to get out of it is what the problem is. So if government is able to subsidize the treatment or management of addiction or the rehabilitation care, a lot of people will be willing to enroll on it.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
All right, this is still the AM on the Joy News channel. Now, the Union has announced 60 Ghanaian students selected to pursue the prestigious Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree program in top academic institutions in Europe. The EMJMD is one of the initiatives under the Erasmus Education Scholarship, which supports international mobility and contributes to strengthening Africa's technical and higher education space. There is more in this report.
The all-expenses-paid master's degree scholarship is a unique opportunity for students to broaden their career horizons, gain top-class knowledge, and develop global perspectives while studying in renowned European universities. The selection for the Erasmus Plus Mundus Joint Master's Degree is a highly competitive process, attracting numerous potential students from Ghana applying for the coveted opportunity. At a pre-departure event in Accra, the EU ambassador to Ghana, Echad Razali, said the opportunity offered the successful applicants is one among the EU's commitment to its partnership with Ghana in education. Echad Razali is confident that the scholarship will prepare the successful student for a competitive career.
So today we organized the stand-up event for the young Ghanaians who have benefited from Erasmus Plus scholarship. This is one of the most successful EU program in Europe and throughout the world. And this year I'm very, very happy and proud to see that we are sending 60 young Ghanaians to perform studies, undergraduate and graduate studies throughout Europe. This is so far the highest number of students that we are sending. Last year we have sent 45. We are very happy already, but today is very rewarding because these are new students will discover Europe, will learn in the best university in Europe, and hopefully will make a contribution for their communities and for the country.
Some beneficiaries spoke to Joy News. The EU says it is increasing investment in quality education and working with partner countries to strengthen cooperation on research and innovation.
How I landed this scholarship, I'll say that it was recommended by my friend. It was something global, so he sent me the link and I applied. They have their own criteria. I just followed. You put up your motivation and all that. So I did everything, and I was waiting on them to call me. So I was there one time in June, and they texted me that I'm now a beneficiary of the scholarship, and I'm very glad. It wasn't that easy because there were a lot. I was once on a reserve list and I was later pushed to the main list. There's a whole lot. It has not been easy though, but in all, I just want to say I'm grateful to God too.
I got to know about Erasmus Mundus program online. It was, I think, a recommendation because of my past searches, right? So I got to know about it. Then I went through the entire master's programs they have. I read about what they were doing within those programs. Then I selected the ones I was interested in. I noted down their opening dates, and then I incorporated them into my calendar. So whenever they open, I got an alert. Yes. Yeah, and then I realized you could apply to more. Initially, there was a cap on the number of programs you could apply to, but I realized there was more. Like you could apply to any amount, any number, right? So I applied to just two because I felt it wasn't really a good use of my time if I was going to do so many of them. So I applied to two and I got into one.
Karen Obeng's report read to you.
Now, Ghana's biggest street art festival went on a full blast on day 2 of the carnival, offering patrons an array of creative displays. Artists depicted extraordinary pieces of art that communicated many stories. My colleague Jacqueline Ansumaya was at the event and reports.
Yet another day, and it's time for the second day of the Chalawate Festival. And yes, you're right here at the Osu Castle, as I told you yesterday. And today is still all about the celebration of art and culture. Now, I got here not long ago, and I've been attracted by all these artworks that I'm surrounded by. I go over to talk to most of the artists who are partaking in the 13th edition of the Chalawate Festival.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. What's your name?
My name is Charity Debia Katie.
Tell me more. Join me here. Yes. Tell me more about this beautiful artwork. It's like I see a man, I see a woman, I see a lot. Tell me more.
Okay, so both of these artworks, especially this one, talks about slavery, and especially the focus on Afro-Brazilian slaves and the way they were able to leave Brazil and come back to Ghana in 1836 and eventually settled in Jamestown. So I tried to talk about the women, especially the women.
Just because you're a woman?
Just because I'm a woman, and their contribution towards freedom. So this is more like how they wish their lives were, a pillar, an undisturbed environment. So this is just about this one. And so most times I would do my work on bleached fabric, not the conventional use of canvas as you always.
So this is a bleached fabric?
Yes. So I prepare this myself. I tie it like the way you tie tie-dye, and then I use bleach on it, and then at the end of the day I have accidental patterns. So that's my own style.
When you say accidental patterns,
yeah, accidental patterns, because I don't do that, having a circle there and do that, but I just tie, and whatever the bleach gives me, that's what I get as my background.
So, but this is beautiful. And are these, what are these?
These are cow horns.
Cow horns?
Yes.
I'm just trying to picture a cow. So you just cut them into pieces?
Yeah, I cut them into pieces and arrange them in a figure portrait, and I weave them with a fishing line to create my portraits, to tell stories about we the blacks and how important cow horn is it to us, but rather we pay less attention to it. We rather see it as a waste product, but we don't take much attention to it. So I cut them into pieces and try to make figure out of it.
Okay, that is really interesting. How long did it take for you to make this one?
It took me about 4 to 5 weeks.
This cute thing here, is this your artwork? Tell us a little bit more about it. It looks very cute. I might take it away. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, that's actually Toaje the Red Hunter from the north.
Toaje? I hope I got the pronunciation correct.
Yeah,
Toaje the Hunter.
Yeah, the Red Hunter.
Tell us more about Toaje the Red Hunter.
He's actually a warrior and a chief that led some of the Dagombas in the old times. Yeah.
Like from Dagomba?
No, please, I schooled there.
Oh, okay. So that inspired you a little bit.
Yeah, he's actually retelling Ghanaian stories, so it inspires me a lot. So I used to talk about it.
Okay. How long did it take for you to make this?
It's actually a day. A day's job.
Oh, you used the day to make this? Oh, and it's heavy too.
Yeah,
what?
It's hollow.
It's hollow?
Yeah.
But it looks very heavy. But anyways, what materials did you use to make this one?
Red clay.
Red clay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something that you've been doing for how long?
about 12 years now.
He's speaking to patrons who are here on their thoughts about the 13th edition of the Chalawate Festival. Vanessa.
I'm from Denmark, so I'm here for vacations. It's good to experience this festival. It was my friend who introduced about this, so it's really good to know the culture. I like arts, but African are different, so it's something I can learn. I don't know too much about it, so I'm here to learn also about it.
Missed out on the Chalawate festivities. Live and colored happening right at the Osu Castle, Christian Borg Castle inside Accra. Just take a car and come. Witness beautiful art and culture. We've had the procession, there's art, there's food, there's music, there's film labs. Just as you see behind me currently, ongoing is a film lab for the artists, talking about the history of Africans, the slave trade, a lot more about the themes that they worked on. So don't miss out. We still have more days to go on the 13th edition of Chalawate. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
So do pass by today and experience the sort of incredible art on display at the Chalawate Festival. It's ongoing in Osu. So do make a date with it today. And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Up next is a news review on the show. Stay with us. Welcome back to the AM show. It's time for us to review what the papers are reporting today. And if you just joined us, this is the Joy News channel. Grateful that you could allow us into your space. Well, I have the Daily Graphic today, the Finder newspaper. I have the Ghanaian Publisher, the Daily Guide, and I also have with me the Custodian. Now, to help us review the papers is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist and the director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, grateful for joining us here. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
I trust all is well.
I'm happy to see you again. I'm very well. I'm very well.
Great. Let's start off from...
I'm well, Kojo. Yourself?
By grace, I'm well. Let's start off from the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, Tamale International Airport opens. Digital audio transmission here. Technology trial takes off. Republic Bank Africa set up hub in Accra. Ghana saves $1.5 billion from GMPC GENSER deal, Parliamentary Select Committee. We'll delve deeper into that particular story later on. But there's this interesting story at the back page of the Daily Graphic. It says, youth form 85% of prison inmates, age range between 12 and 35. Now, the story written by Elizabeth Kunedu Boache and Diana Mensah says, or it reads, the country currently has over 9,000 youth locked up in various prisons. The number represents about 85% of total number of inmates, which is over 15,000. The Deputy Director of Prisons, Millicent Owusu, made this known at a multi-stakeholder dialogue organized by the National Youth Authority for actors within the youth development ecosystem. She described the situation as worrying because the percentage of young people who were between the age of 12 and 35 years did not have access to the many benefits that the youth in the country had, which made them a liability to the country. The Deputy Director of Prisons therefore pleaded that some national activities geared towards the youth in the country are also implemented in the prison so that young inmates could also benefit. This is worrying that 85% of inmates, are youth. But what story does it tell? Okay, so we'll get back to him, but it should be, a source of worry for all of us in the country, that, you know, we have such a number of people who could, you know, contribute more to the development of the country locked up. Why is that the case? What are we not doing right that we have all of these young people, you know, locked up? They are not locked up because they, you know, the system says they should be locked up, but it's because of something they did. But why did this happen? I mean, something that should engage all of our thinking this morning, that youth forming 85% of prison inmates. That's quite shocking. I wish that we could even get your thought on this on our social media platform. What do you make of this story? What should we do to reduce these numbers? Because this is huge. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Enam Hajide, said it was the responsibility of the state to account for the young people in the country, and that it was also important to work with non-state actors to ensure that the issues of young people were addressed. That, he said, was the reason the authority had chosen the month of August to amplify the challenges that confronted young people and also collaborate with stakeholders to discuss the solutions that could be rolled out to deal with the challenges of young people. But if you're a young person and you're watching us this morning, there are a lot of opportunities in this country. Maybe you're not aware, but for example, if you go on to the www.neip.gov.gh platform, there are numerous opportunities, and that's why it's important that you listen to this conversation we have today, so that we can expose ourselves to all the opportunities that we can take advantage of. And it's coming up later on the show. We'll be speaking to the CEO of the NEIP, to expose all of us to the many opportunities that exist in the NEIP, so that we can take advantage of them. I'm sure if we do, we can minimize some of these instances that we see gets our youth in there. Now, let's turn to the banner headline story on the digital audio transmission, which is to take off. The story is written by Mary Ann Amponsa and Dixon Walanyo Doche. It has a new radio technology, digital audio broadcasting, that enables the transmission of digital audio content over the airwaves, has gone live in the country. This makes the country the first in West Africa and fourth on the continent to embrace the innovative technology. DAB brings in an era of radio broadcasting that will improve on the traditional frequency modulation, FM, by using digital signals instead of analog, resulting in improved reception quality and reduced signal interference. With increasing demand for sound broadcasting services and limited FM frequency availability in major cities, the country's deployment of the latest version of DAB, the DAB Plus, will address frequency constraint for FM radio and allow stations to reach more cities while broadcasting the same radio content. Okay, let's see how that goes. Let's turn to other stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we had this story here. Let's see. Now, Tamale, the northern regional capital, was ushered into a brand new life yesterday afternoon when Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia inaugurated the second phase of the redevelopment project of the Tamale International Airport, TIA, at a brief ceremony. The airport, which has now gained international status, is formally open to passengers. This follows successful test and simulation exercises on the project by the Ghana Airport Company Limited. The expansion works, costing $70 million, included the construction of a modern terminal building and other ancillary facilities such as VIP lounge, 2 boarding gates, 4 self-service check-in kiosk, 8 check-in desks, airline offices, commercial retail areas, and multi-purpose terminal for Hajj travel facilitation, and a 5-kilometer road network. The airport also has a 350 capacity car park, a technical area which includes a reservoir for potable water and firefighting, and a sewage treatment plant, among other facilities. Inaugurating the facility, Dr. Bawumia indicated that the terminal was designed for passenger throughput of 400,000 annually, adding that with the opening of the new terminal, a number of airlines would now be flying directly from Tamale to various parts of the world. So today, if you are from the northern part of the country and you're traveling anywhere in the world, you don't need to come through Accra. All you need to do is to go to Tamale, and then you can travel. You can fly from Tamale to Paris, to London, to Canada, to US, wherever you want to go to. He said the project was in line with the government's effort to expand the infrastructure in the airline industry to boost the agribusiness in the country and attract foreign investors while making Ghana an aviation hub of the West African sub-region. So even if someone wants to fly into Burkina Faso, he can come into Ghana through Tamale, and then he goes into Burkina. Wonderful. Let's see how this goes. My only worry will be how we maintain this facility. I mean, that has been a challenge in this country. We build fantastic infrastructure, but when it comes to maintaining them, it becomes a headache. There are so many roads that are going bad because we fail to do maintenance on those roads. I was driving on the Anaje Highway sometime last week, and I was telling myself, how have we allowed this road to even begin to have these potholes? Small potholes have started to develop on the Anaje Highway in Takrade, but authorities are watching on for those smaller potholes to deteriorate before we spend a lot of money to reconstruct the roads. I mean, that's the challenge we have in this country. So as we reopen the Tamale Airport, fantastic, but I only hope that when the smallest of challenges come, we should tackle them from the early stages so that they do not deteriorate. That has been our culture in this country. And for that Anaje Road that I'm talking about, we're all here. Let's give ourselves a year. We'll bring stories of that road, and we'll see how wider the potholes have become because authorities are failing to act. That is how we are in this country. So my only plea is that once we have opened such a fantastic project, let us up our game when it comes to, maintenance, because for our lack of maintenance, a lot of infrastructure have gone bad in this country. Now, when you go to page 16 of the daily graphic, it says, Minerals Commission discusses exploration of lithium at Mfantsiman. Now, the Minerals Commission is holding preliminary discussions with Atlantic Lithium Limited, a mining company, on the development of the Ewoya lithium deposit in Mfantsiman municipality in the central region. The project has, however, not received the approval of the Minister of Land and Natural Resources. Neither has a contract, transaction, deal or stake for any person, company or entity been signed. By law, the Commission is mandated to make recommendations to the Minister for the granting of mineral rights, including a mining lease. Once that has not been done, no company can mine in this country. And that's why those who are mining without these, we call them illegal mining. So if any company is mining lithium in the Mfantsiman area and you know about it, you have to report. They don't have the license, per what we are reading here. Now, it says the Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Martin Kwekwe, told the Daily Graphic that the Commission had not made any such recommendations for the granting of a mining lease for the development of the lithium deposit at Ewoya. He explained that Atlantic Lithium had a prospecting license which it acquired through its Ghanaian subsidiary, Barari Development Ghana Limited. Quote, at this stage, Atlantic Lithium Limited still holds a prospecting license in the name of its local subsidiary, Barari Development Ghana Limited, and unquote. Martin A.C. added. Now, the interview comes in the wake of claims by Piedmont Lithium in respect of the company's acquisition of a stake in the Ewoya lithium project in Ghana. The press release by the Commission follows the Australian mining firm Piedmont Lithium had acquired a 22.5% stake in Atlantic Lithium's Ewoya project in the country. The CEO of Piedmont, Keith Phillips, was quoted in a release saying, quote, "We are pleased with the result of the Ewoya lithium project, definitive feasibility study, and our election to earn our initial 22.5% interest in Atlantic Lithium's Ghanaian lithium project portfolio," unquote. Now, Cabinet on July 27 this year approved a new policy framework for the exploitation, management, and regulation of lithium and other green minerals in Ghana. The overarching goal of the new framework is anchored on the principle that exploitation of green minerals, including lithium, must benefit the people who are true owners of the mineral resources. How are we going to ensure that the people benefit from this? It's another conversation we need to have. But now we do know that nobody has been given the license to, exploit the mineral. All that they have is prospecting to determine the, amount of lithium we do have. So if you see something, you need to say something. If you see someone is, mining lithium out from those areas, you need to alert the authority so that the right things can be done. Okay, so we've been joined now by Dr. Kwame Asante on the phone. Doc, great to have you back. So I wanted us to start from the youth forming 85% of prison inmates. We are told they range between 12 to 35 years. And I was asking, what real story does this tell?
This is a very unfortunate story, and it's not good for a country such as ours, and of course, it's not good for any country. Why are we in this? A number of factors come to the fore.
Okay.
If you look at it straight away, it tells you that there's something wrong with our socialization process, where we inculcate certain values in children for them to develop to become the best for society. What we are seeing tells us that there's something wrong with that. Let's cast our mind back to the family and to see how far have we been able to, or how far have we fared in terms of our development, our contribution in this regard. Do we offer children the best of training in terms of what will make them fit into society? The answer is no. We have allowed children to do their own thing, and we have all manner of difficulties. People also have broken homes that have contributed immensely to some of this. Added to it, you can also talk about issue of what a lot of youth who are energetic and are what idle, doing nothing. Issue of unemployment and skills training is missing. So you'll find them into vices that will lead them into prison. It is unfortunate, and this means that our institutions must up their game alongside with families, with schools, with other agencies of socialization. They have to come in seriously because this country cannot do without the youth. And look at their number, the age bracket, 12 to 35. That's in other jurisdictions where you see a number of people who are in the labor front working, and here we have them in prison. It sends a very wrong signal to us that all government efforts, all the efforts of stakeholders, we are still having a sizable number of our youth population locked up in prison. It is cause for worry, and stakeholders must sit and act now.
How must we deal with this? I mean, what is the solution to this?
The solution lies in some of the things I've said. We need to tighten the noose around the things that will make children or growing children become fit for society. So families must take seriously the process of socialization to inculcate. Let's continue to do that. Inculcate values into children so that when they grow, they live by them. Problem of what? Families. We need to also look at that and resolve them one way or the other. And then government must strengthen its efforts to provide employment for the youth. There are a lot of them who are ready to work and they have no job. That doesn't mean, let me also state it clearly, that doesn't mean that if you don't have job, you must go into vice that will take you towards prison. No. But the old adage serves us better, that the devil finds work for the idle hand. Let us engage them through what? Certain training, and then let us occupy them with something that will help them in their development, and that will deal with some of these problems. I know it will not go completely, but we'll be able to what? Nip it in the bud or reduce it to the barest minimum.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to the Finder newspaper now. On the front page it says, government settles 2.4 billion coupons on new bonds. No licenses granted to mine lithium, according to Minerals Commission. Research to find one traditional dish as Ghana's national food underway. And $70 million phase 2 of Tamale Airport commissioned to increase economic activities in northern Ghana, according to Dr. Bawumia. Now, the story is on page 2 of the Finder newspaper. It says, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has commissioned the Tamale International Airport Phase 2 project at a colorful ceremony in the Northern Regional Capital, facilitated under the auspices of the UK Ghana Business Council, established in 2018 and co-chaired by Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. The project is part of government's aviation sector infrastructure development program designed to expand the frontiers of the aviation industry and to make Ghana the aviation hub within the West African sub-region. Dr. Bawumia, who broke ground on August 15, 2019 for works to begin on a project, expressed delight that 4 years on, the Tamale International Airport Phase 2 project has been completed. Quote, this project is so dear to the government and particularly the hard-working people of the Northern region and its trading partners across the length and breadth of the country and the sub-region, unquote. Dr. Bawumia stated at the commissioning. Quote, the completion of this ultra-modern terminal building together with a multi-purpose terminal and other ancillary facilities are expected to provide needed impetus for increased economic trading activities and to reinforce the status of Tamale as a sub-Saharan hub for flight to and from neighboring West African countries and Sahel regions. Doc, I was saying a while ago that, well, this is good, fantastic project, but our only problem should be maintaining them. What do you make of this the commissioning and what the prospect that this brings to the northern part of the country?
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. We need to develop that culture and sustain it. The culture of maintaining very important things or anything that we put our resources into. We need to maintain them to the best of what is required of us so that it serves the purpose for which it was developed. In modern economics, you cannot do without aviation industry booming and then attracting a lot of people to use facilities within the industry. So this is a good call, and it has come at no better time than this time. But we want more in other places so that it will open the frontiers of the country's economy and allow us to rake in the necessary revenues that we need to propel our economy from its current state of that we find ourselves.
All right. Government, we understand, has settled some 2.4 billion coupons on new bonds. And the story is on page 4. It's written by Elvis Darkon. It says the Ministry of Finance has issued instructions for the settlement of first matured coupons of new bonds issued under phase of the domestic debt exchange program. In a Twitter post, the Finance Ministry said that the payment is in line with credibility of Ghana's domestic debt operation. Quote, in line with government's commitment to the continued success and credibility of Ghana's domestic debt operations, instructions have gone out for the settlement of 2.4 billion cedis first coupon payment of the DDEP due today, the tweet stated. I mean, what do you make of this? When the whole thing started, there were a lot of people who didn't participate because of, people not trusting the process. But here we are. What does it say?
If you look at this, it is a good thing, but my prayer is that it should be maintained or sustained. We don't want a one-day wonder thing where you pay today, the next day you default and people picket at the ministry and all that. It doesn't bode well for a country which is struggling to maintain its image in this direction. It doesn't bode well at all. And you do yourself good. I'm talking about the government, if you are able to right that wrong and make sure that you do it well, and then you ginger people to want to contribute to financing government through the public sector. Without public finance, definitely governance process is going to be affected. So it is incumbent upon government to do the needful and then respect the terms of contract relative to this type of agreement so that you pay people on time. We need more of such finances to stabilize the economy, and government needs to do what is required of them to also bring smiles on the faces of those who put in their hard-earned resources. But the nonsense, I'm sorry to say, of government always taken out at the last minute when people have contributed and they want their returns, government will come out with all cock and bull stories, and then government push that, which is always annoying, I think, at least, so that we'll have an environment that will be attractive enough to get people into that sector and support government in this effort.
All right. Moving on to the Daily Guide newspaper. It says Cecilia Dapa's stolen cash case, third suspect granted bail. We saved the economy from collapse. That's according to BOG. Bawumia opened 70 million Tamale Airport Phase 2. Compensate Africa, Nana tells of the West, and 2.4 billion released to settle DDEP first coupon. Now on page 3, the story is written by Charles Techi Bwedu and says President Akufo-Addo continues to mount pressure on the need for Western countries to pay compensation to Africans and their countries for the negative effect of the transatlantic slave trade. The subject of restitutions, he said, must go along with the matter of reparations, since, according to him, quote, no amount of money can restore the damages caused by slave trade and its consequences, which have spanned many centuries. Your thoughts?
This issue about reparation and all that, I have a different story, or a different thinking about it. Because if we're talking about slavery, it didn't take one person or one group of people to do it. It was a joint effort between our people and the slave masters. So who is paying who a compensation? Sometimes when I hear this, there's something that we have to sit down and do, and that is to interrogate the literature the more, and then see the causes, and then who perpetrated the act. And then if there is any reparation, we can look at it and look at this carefully. And that is why we always cry about these things, and the Western world do not want to mind us. That is not to say that I endorse slavery and all the effects. I hate it, and I was a student of history, and we were taught slavery, and I detest it. I have visited places in the U.S., such as Monticello, where I've seen the effect of slavery and the rest of them. But look, it's a very complex matter. We have to look at it very well if we want to make sense to the world, and then we're trying to see what we can, demand out of that, out of which we can create problems and people will laugh at us. But aside this, I want to also say that let us not bang our hopes. I'm not sure we are banging our hopes on these things to believe that we will definitely be giving us that type of reparation and all that. With or without it, we should, prepare our minds that we move on and that we use slavery as a bitter lesson to guide our future conduct and develop our country on our own.
But Doc, there's no argument about what the West did. Some of them have even said that, when they read history, it pains them the sort of things their grandfathers did to Africa. So is there a debate about who is supposed to do what?
Yeah, but the issue is that you are asking for reparation for, the act of inhumanity that was meted out to black people ferrying them from Africa through the difficult terrain of Atlantic Ocean to the New World and the rest of them. And I'm saying that the source, the beginning, who were those who took part in slavery? it was a market where there were suppliers and those who also demanded the commodity. And so was it the case that it's only Western world that was guilty of this and our people did contribute? Remember, before even event of transatlantic slavery, and domestic slavery, and then even with the introduction of transatlantic slavery, there were people who took part in selling people. You can go around this country and check our history of man in here in Africa, in Ghana, in Africa. Talk of Benin, King Kosoko and Co. would not stop selling slaves because it supported the economy, the Benin economy, and the rest of them. And I'm saying that having taken part in these ugly business, that is one actor plus another actor, why are you demanding reparation from the person who also was on the market after you have supplied? That, for me, is a lingering question that beats my mind, and I need answers from the public.
Interesting. All right, Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on our news review segment of the show. Do have a great day. Dr. Kwame Asante is Director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. This is the AM show, and we're grateful to you for joining us here. This is the news review segment. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you sports, but just before, this segment was brought to you by Endpoint, and they're doing some free screening for both males and females. For females, they're doing fertility screening. You can pass by their branch, which is at Spintex, opposite the billboard. And then in Takrady, they are at Anaje in the Nzima area. They are located in Esiama. Techiman, they are located in Hanswa. And then in Kumasi, in Kronom Abuehia, behind Angel Educational Complex. Do get to them so that you can know the status where you are. And they would ensure that they treat you. They say that endpoint and to chronic diseases. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you sports.
Let's do sports now on the AM show. I am Muftau Nabila Abdai. Good morning. Now, we start with Team Ghana's preparations for the World Athletics Championships, and the team finalized their training session on Tuesday ahead of the 200 meters heat later today. Joseph Paul Amoah and James Dazi will be in action. James Dazi is in heat 4, while Joseph Paul Amoah is in heat 6 of the competition. Head coach of the team, Elam Aminakwa, has been speaking to my colleague Fenty Utahiru, and he believes that the boys have got what it takes to qualify to the semi-final of the competition.
Being in a camp is what we've been asking for a very long time, and this time around we're able to spend at least I think 8 days in France, and then we are back here in Hungary doing the same thing that we are doing. So looking at the training and everything, I think we are ready to hit it. Qualification is the toughest in this tournament. To advance from the round 1 to round 2 is the most difficult, and then looking at his heat, the seasonal best of the athletes that he's going to run with, I think he stands a chance of qualifying. It's just about him executing what we are talking about, our race plan and everything. So I think he has a chance of advancing to the next stage.
Darcy, his race, his heat seems, for want of a better word, maybe relatively manageable. He has the fastest time in there. But he has a strap on his hamstring. Talk to me too about his physical situation.
Hamstring is something that comes and go, and it got to do with your mental toughness too. When you are returning from injury, you are very conscious about it, like it can come again and all those things. So he needs to, get it out of his mind going into the race tomorrow. If he thinks about it too much, it's definitely going to affect him. But that's Jim Dazi. He's a tough guy, and his running is lane 9. When you're running in lane 9, you have a lot of work to do, meaning you really need to run a very fast curve, and he has to get the hamstring injury out of his mind, like if he has to qualify to the next stage.
Also, when it comes to the sprinters, apart from the relay team, with Joe Paul and James Darcy, what have you been working on specifically in this? Is it the speed, is it technique, or what have you been working on the most?
We have some few days to train. Adaptation-wise, you can't say that we can use the 10 days that we spend to work on somebody's speed. It's about their preparation that they have with their various coaches before coming here. My duty here is to just maintain it and then to polish it so that they don't lose that form that they have from the previous year.
Coach Elom there speaking ahead of the 200 meters later today. It starts at 9:25 a.m. Now let's hear from my colleague Fenty Utahiru, who was at the training grounds and brings us an update of what he witnessed when he visited the team's training camp.
Yeah, so they've been training quite well. Team after the Barakwa got missed out on a chance to qualify for the women's long jump final. Team Ghana, since Saturday, they've not competed. In fact, their first competition is on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, when two of our athletes will take into the tracks to compete in the 200 meters heat. Okay. And, James Darcy, of course, I saw him. He's training really well, but he does have a bit of a plaster on his hamstring, so he's not looking very good. Remember, he got injured after he ran the national record back at the end of April. I think he ran that race on April 30. So he still hasn't fully recovered from that. Yeah, so in the shot, you see that's Elom in the Ghana shirt with Joseph Paul Amoa, who will also be running in the 200-meter heats tomorrow. And the relay team are the ones in your shot at the moment, obviously also training because the relays, the heats, for that is on Thursday. And so some of these guys would also be involved. So that's Edwin Gadai, Raymond French, and Isaac Bosio in your short. The two 200-meter runners, Joseph Polamo and James Darcy. And that's James Darcy. You see the plaster on his left hamstring there. And he's not looking very good. However, the good news for him is that his heat looks really good. Look at the numbers in there and what have you. But Muftau, in fact, after the conversation, you also see that the Ghana team are wearing all kinds of, everybody's wearing their own thing. I have also been told that an airline has lost their training kit. So it's a really bizarre situation because, and Team Ghana is not the only one to have lost kit. Yesterday, I met the president of the Athletics Federation of Zimbabwe, and he was running across. And I asked him, why are you in such a hurry? Muftar, this man, he is so big. But he was running and he was holding a bag. And I asked him, what's in the bag? He said, they are spikes. So what are they for? He's going to give them to one of his athletes to use to run a race, not just training. It was race day and he was still chasing spikes because an airline lost their spikes on the way.
Wow.
The airline lost my bag as well. So it's not. So
I was actually going to mention that you've also lost your bag.
Yeah. So that's the problem. So it's been very chaotic in terms of the organization. But Team Ghana has been training well. They have been here since Thursday.
My colleague Fenty there bring us up to speed on what Team Ghana has been doing ahead of the 200 meters and the relays, which will be happening. 200 meters is today, and the relays will be happening on Friday. And now, sensational round there from Kenny Harrison as she won the heat in the 100 meters hurdles. But now let's hear from Faith Kipyegon. She became the first female ever in the history of athletics to win the 1,500 meters back to back to back. And she's been speaking to my colleague Fenty Utahiru on becoming very fast after giving birth.
Mia, Ali, everybody's having a kid and coming back and running faster than before. And I always like to ask that question, what is so special about coming back from childbirth and doing much better than before?
I think that is the strongest point and the strongest thing, the strongest point of our career, being mom and coming out here and execute as much as we can to show other women that everything is possible. No, it's only going to maternal leave and coming back, you can be stronger than before.
Your last lap was 56 seconds.
Thank you, Stefan.
Your last lap was 56 seconds. what, is that the best you've ever closed? What's your best last lap ever?
I don't know. I didn't see the watch. I was just going for the gold medal. That was my biggest thing. So I was just running fast as I can to defend my title.
You've broken so many.
Now, let's also hear from Nia Ali. She's also been speaking about becoming extremely fast after giving birth.
But I don't know. It's my first time doing it. But it's cool. I don't know.
One last question for you. You're running your fastest now.
Right.
And at your oldest. I mean, what's the superpower about having a baby and coming back? Because you're not the first person.
Yeah.
But a lot of you have been doing it. It's crazy.
You know, yeah, I can't speak for the others. For me, I would say that before I had children, I was kind of like, just like young, vibey, out and about, not really like tunnel vision. So I think that that's really what made all the difference for me, like just kind of locking in a little bit more, like each year, after each kid, knowing that when I get older, because some of the people in the past told me, like, you know, when you get older, you know, you hear that, you're not going to be able to do that, you're not going to be able to eat that, you're like, whatever. But now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, where is the vitamin store? Where, like, you know, I need to go to sleep. So I think it's just doing all the right things now and just still leaving that little bit of room with the balance, but knowing I have that little bit of room to improve, just capitalizing on that.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that balance,
Yeah.
how to get it right. Like, what kind of support system you need to absolutely get that right?
Oh, like my mom, Andre's mom, like our family, they hold it down. Like, my family really, really holds it down. So if I didn't have that, I wouldn't even be able to focus the way I can. But they're with my family, so I don't even need to worry about my children when I'm out here. And I think that that's the best part about it, having that village.
T, can I ask one more question? You know, I was in Doha when you won that championship, and then I was in Oregon when the German happened. I mean, it's been a lot of ups and downs. I mean, how does that make you feel? Because from being a world champions to falling over in Oregon and then running your first time, all in the space of like 2-3 years, it's crazy.
Yeah, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel more confident than ever right now, because I feel like I really got a handle on myself and my career, and that's the most exciting part about it all. I learned from my experiences.
Thank you. All the best for the semis and the final.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now let's hear from Toby Emusan. She's speaking to the media for the first time since she was charged by World Athletics Integrity Unit for missing 3 separate tests. Well, it was her time to also have a go at journalists, saying that they should cut her some slack and that they claim to know her more than she knows herself.
In as much as I don't like to reference things, but I hate when people feel like they know me. My race in California, you wrote an article and it felt like we were buddies and I actually gave you intel on what to write. I read that article you wrote, and let me tell you, it brought me to tears. And that hurt my feelings. Disrespected me as an athlete and my coach and all my athletes. You didn't know what surrounded that track meet. Or you just sat down and wrote whatever you want to write. You didn't know what I was going through. Or you just started typing. That's a kid. Because that was at my lowest. And you wrote everything like, you get me this career. That's how I felt. So we're chargers.
So I'm asking the charge about the organization. Like,
Because a lot of your fans and a lot of the edits Mr. Carter, I ain't done answering your questions. You asked the same questions like 5 times now. That's the first time I asked that question. Yes, and thank you.
All right, so Toby,
Ridiculous.
yeah. Listen, Toby, we're so, yeah.
You run fast, they want to talk about your shoes. You don't run fast, they want to talk about what's going on. Like, come on, cut me a slack. All you gotta do is say no thank you. No thank you. No, man, I'll tell you no thank you.
Toby Musande not having it lightly with media, saying that some of them report as if they know her more than she knows herself, and also said that many of those reports brought her to tears. Now, we'll wrap up with some football, and the Ghana Football Association, they will be assembling in Tamale for an elective Congress. Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, Mark Addo, says that they've been putting together the right structures that will ensure the successful governance of football in the country. And he says that the technical department of the Ghana Football Association, headed by Bernhard Lippert, is yet to achieve even 20% of what they dream for football.
We came in October, I think October 29th of 2019. Yeah. There's been a massive improvement in terms of purely from restructuring the organization to ensure that we'll be able to put the right programs in place, you know, in all aspects. Restructuring the finance organization, bringing in good technical people, hiring new CFO, putting the right controls and systems in place in terms of accountability. Because FIFA demands, the levels in terms of FIFA expectations are very high. We brought in a new marketing director to help in our campaign sponsorship, which has yielded tremendous results. We have over 25 major sponsors for the FA, which you can see in our financials compared from 2019 to 2020 to 2021. You can see that. The 2022 financials just closed. It's being audited as we speak. And once we go to Congress again, it will be made public. And then we also we set up a new legal department to help in the FA work. We've also hired a new HR manager. We hired a new HR manager. Can you imagine not having an HR manager in our organization? So we did that as well. The prosecutor was mandated by FIFA, which we hired. So in terms of the right structures in place, we have done all that just to make sure the organization and then it's properly structured for growth. So that's what we've done, and there's a whole lot of work that goes on in this contest. On the back of it, we've been able to meet all our FIFA audit requirements, and it's been tremendous amount of work that gone into to get that done. In terms of also in our statutory reporting, we've also made that as well, you know, by filing our financials with the Register Journal. So from organization structure, standpoint, turnaround structure, I think we are on the right course. Then you veer into competitions, you know. So all these things, of course, we have to have the right people to plan for the competition, for the clubs and for the league. We've also have to work on the other aspect in terms of refereeing, which was a big challenge when we came in. Restructuring that, we get a referees manager, the technical development of our referees. Or same as we set up we didn't set up, we enhanced the technical directorate by hiring Bernhard Lippert, the technical director, to do it. They've done a lot of work at the technical directory, but still a lot of work needs to be done. You know, we are not even 20% of what we expect the technical directory to do.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. The show continues right after this.
So welcome back from the break. Let's talk about the issues making rounds in this country. And but before then, our new review segment was brought to us by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they are offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening. They're located in Accra here, Spintex opposite Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Boyia behind Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade, you can locate them in Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa. In Nzema area, Siaman. Give them a call on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic diseases. Well, so let's get straight to the issues and discuss, the issues that are coming up. Now, if you go to the Daily Graphic, page 20, they are reporting a story from Parliament where they say the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy has stated that the country saved about $1.5 billion from gas sales agreement between the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation and the GENSER Energy Ghana Limited. The contract is to deliver 329 million metric British thermal unit MMBTU of gas to GNPC for 16 years. The committee said the sales agreement would also reduce the transmission losses by $418 million when the Ameri plant is relocated to Kumasi and made operational. The parliamentary probe follows criticism by some civil society organizations last year that the agreement would cause financial loss to the state. The committee said in its report that after a careful evaluation of testimonies from stakeholders, the country would derive some benefit from the sales. Now, from the sales agreement, civil society groups, Imani Africa and the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, alleged that Ghana bought gas for $95.8 million and sold to GENSER Energy for $43.5 million, accounting for $1.5 billion loss to the state. But Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee interrogated the management of GNPC and the Ministry of Energy over the said gas supply deal with GENSER Energy, which Imani Africa and ACEP had criticized. The sales agreement was signed in 2020 and amended in 2021, following a directive from the Ministry of Energy. Let's get more from this. Ben Boache is the executive director at ACEP. He joins us via Zoom for us to go into these issues, for you to really understand what the issues are. Because as we speak, the Senior Staff Association of Ghana Gas is also rejecting this report from the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. We'll be speaking to them as well. Now, the minority on the committee is also distancing itself from the same report. What is really happening here? Ben Boache, good morning to you, and thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, my brother, and thanks for having me.
Great. Now, help us understand. I mean, for those of us who are, not really at your level in energy sphere, we really want to appreciate this. What is really at stake?
Right. Sometime last year, around September, we chanced on a contract that has been operational between GNPC and GENSER Ghana Limited. Let me put that in perspective. GENSER Ghana Limited is a foreign entity with Ghanaian faces, or led by Ghanaian. So GNPC entered into a contract with them for them to extend a pipeline to Kumasi, and also be able to allow GNPC to use their infrastructure over a period of 16 years. And for that period of 16 years, GNPC was going to pay them about $1.5 billion. So the question that came to us is that if GNPC signed such an agreement, for what we call capacity reservation, what that means is that GNPC will be allowed to use the infrastructure of GENSER over the period when they need it, and pay that much money. So if GNPC was going to pay that, what is it in reality getting in return for that? And we did the numbers, and we saw that that capacity reservation that GNPC is talking about is just ruse is really to cover the whole transaction and how shady it is.
Okay.
Because one, there isn't enough gas for the capacity that GNPC says it's reserving in GENSER pipeline. GNPC says it is reserving 130 SCF in the primary pipeline of GENSER, and then about 35, about 65 million standard cubic feet of gas in their branch pipeline. So cumulatively, they are reserving about 195 SCF capacity. And that is what they are paying the 1.5 billion for. And they said, where in that corridor is GNPC going to use that gas in the next 10 to 15 years to warrant they are going to such an agreement? And we don't see anything. The only thing we see is the relocation of the Ameri power plant that we had earlier criticized, which in fact, even if that was relocated, could only take about 30 SCF maximum.
Okay.
If you're not running over the plant, it means you're doing less of that capacity. So is it just for the Ameri power plant that GNPC is committing in real time? And in fact, they have already started paying since 2020, but they have not even used a molecule of gas. So all that subsidy that they've granted to GENSER over that period of time, 3 years, has been of zero benefit to the corporation. So we criticized it and thought that this needed the attention of government for that contract to be reviewed and also help save Ghana some money. So when we started talking about it, the committee in Parliament, the Mines and Energy Committee, also rebutted. They said, you know, we probably should have gone to speak to GNPC and got clarity on the issues. And we said, hey, no. I mean, the attached here is a lawyer. Honorable Katie Hammond is a lawyer. And if for anything at all, they should understand that if you have a contract, a written and signed contract, that contract should make meaning to everybody who wants to read it. Because if you have to go look for those who signed it to get interpretation, then there's a problem in that contract. Right? So we did analysis based on a signed document, not speculation, not hearsay, not a letter, on the document, but the document itself is what we actually analyze, and therefore there.
We're on with Ben Boache. He is Executive Director for African Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. Now, this discussion we're having, the key findings from the report by the Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy and Mines on Energy says GNPC and the GENSER Ghana Limited Gas Transmission Agreement savings to GNPC is $1.462 billion. Their argument is that if Ghana had borrowed to do the same thing, construct the pipelines, it would have cost us $1.625 billion. Well, they also argue that it would lead to reduction in transmission losses by $480 million once Ameri plant is relocated to Kumasi and made operational. Okay, so we have Ben Boache back. So Ben, you're making a point when your line tripped.
My line has been on. I think yours trip. I don't know.
Oh, okay, okay. So probably it's from our end. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was making the point that we had actually lost faith in the committee. When they decided to investigate the matter because of the prejudicial comments that the chairman and Honorable Katie Hammond made, regarding the whole arrangement. But we thought that we could still appear before the committee and provide evidence to show that, one, there is no free gas anywhere or cheap gas anywhere for GNPC to discount it from the market price of 6.08 to 2.79 for GENSER. Number two, we thought that we could help the committee to appreciate how Ghana is bleeding from the energy sector, for which reason the needed social investments are not being made. Rather, we are paying energy sector commitments and not building the schools, the roads, and the hospitals that are required to be built. As we speak, even at the time we appeared before the committee, government had paid over $700 million for gas subsidies or under recoveries that GNPC couldn't pay for. Right? So a federal discount was going to exacerbate the situation. And today, I mean, in reality, we paid so much and we still have more than $600 million outstanding debt to be cleared on gas payments alone. So we thought that those were interesting issues that the committee could pay attention to and get answers and responses from GNPC. Why they would sign that capacity reservation in GENSER's pipeline. Let's be honest, GENSER is using those pipelines for its own needs, right? So GENSER supplies power to the mines, is built the pipelines to supply gas to them. Beyond the one that is going to Kumasi, GENSER has use for those pipelines. So why is GNPC shouldering all the costs for building the pipeline? And beyond that also, the infrastructure remains that of GENSER. So GENSER can build all the pipelines, power plants across the country and use their pipelines that GNPC is paying for free. And that's essentially what GNPC has gotten into on behalf of the people of Ghana. So we're hopeful that even beyond the prejudicial comments, the committee would open up to those real issues and ask germane questions. Where is GNPC going to get a cheap gas to give to GENSER? And why are they showing that kind of commitment, which really essentially is going to be a loss on the public purse significantly? So those were the things that we were hoping that the committee could do.
Okay. So
we wake up to the report of the committee that really shocked us. And we read the committee's report and you see evidently that the committee job was just to whitewash the agreement and even change testimonies, when it suits them, to align to a certain narrative that they were pushing in that report. Because we have the testimonies of GNPC, which was a PowerPoint presentation. And in that testimony, GNPC was saying that the discount they gave to GENSER was approved by the ministry as an industrial tariff. And then when GENSER also comes to the committee, they also says that, no, it wasn't an industrial tariff. It was the WACOP or the market price that they discounted for the investment that they were going to make. But the committee finds itself in a situation where it then reconciles GENSER's testimony with GNPC's testimony to make them one. To now say that, no, it wasn't an industrial tariff, but it was the WACOP that was used to achieve the 2.79 tariff. And that, for me and for us, is quite disingenuous for the committee to have actually done that. The committee also has opportunity to speak to the minister and the Ministry of Energy on policy matters, whether the ministry approved the transaction or knew about it. And the minister appears to them before them and says they didn't know about it. They were not part of the transaction. Meanwhile, they had evidence that there were letters from the ministry sanctioning and approving the transaction. So this lie was also repeated in the report of the committee when they had letters from the ministry showing that, in fact, it was the ministry that even told them to extend the pipeline to Kumasi, and the letter signed by the minister. But all of that will not be captured in the report. But to say that the ministry said they didn't know about it is the Ministry of Energy saying that they don't have policy on the gas sector. That cannot be the case. When, prior to the signing of the agreement, the Ministry of Energy issued a policy directive saying that Ghana Gas should be the only transmission company. How then does GENSER become a quasi-transmission company without license? And that all that is not captured in the report of the committee. So the committee essentially sought to support the GENSER transaction by hook or crook, and that's what they have done. No interest in looking at what you and I are going to lose as a result. Right? Today, there's tariff increases And these tariff increases are going to go up to be able to accommodate this kind of uselessness that we are seeing in some of these transactions.
Interesting. Now, you made mention of the fact that there's been some subsidy payment for 3 years. Do we take it that the payment have already started then?
It has started. And you see what? The committee's work, I'm now beginning to sense that they probably just wanted to delay so that GENSER can finish its pipeline, and then they just say, oh, the pipeline is here, so let's keep paying, all right? So they have been paying even before they did the extension of the pipeline to Kumasi, and there has been no benefit in that period to Ghana and to GNPC, but we have been paying that subsidy. So that bill goes back to the central government, and government pays with our taxes that should go into development, to GENSER, and GENSER has been enjoying the subsidy for that period. All right, now they are even saying that they want to decouple their whole infrastructure from the gas supply because they are seeing GNPC struggling to pay them the money or give them all the gas they need. So they want to decouple and now say that GNPC has to find a way to, to pay them. They also want parliamentary ratification. Now, I'm sure maybe the committee would have advised them to do that. They want parliamentary ratification for the deal so that they can always get their money. So that is the situation. They want to lock us in and pay them the 1.5 billion at all cost. And even the new letter that I have seen, if you compute what they are asking for now, it goes in excess of 1.8 billion dollars. And the fundamental question is, for what?
How much do you estimate we've paid in the past 3 years for absolutely no work done?
That will run into several millions. We haven't computed that, but the fact of the matter is that we have been paying. And what is intriguing, really, is that you have another state agency, Ghana Gas, that has been fighting GENSER on these things because it is a sole entity with transmission infrastructure. And they had prior agreed with GENSER to pay them for those transmission projects so that if GENSER spends to build the pipelines, they get paid for their investment plus interest. And then Ghana Gas owns the asset. Now they move that agreement to GNPC, and we don't get to own it unless GNPC at some point decides that they want to opt to buy the primary pipeline. So if GNPC decides not to buy it, or doesn't even have money to buy it, then the asset remains that of GENSER forever. And they are using the transmission corridor of Ghana and owning that asset and selling gas to the people of Ghana, the gas that we own. Somebody now takes control of the gas and sells the gas to us, when we want it. And this is a tragedy of the transaction that we were hoping that the people's representative would have looked into it and, save us money. But that's what they have done, just whitewash the whole agreement. And I don't understand what a rush even is. When you have delayed for almost a year, this whole investigation, concluded in November last year. I mean, they have spoken to all the people they wanted to speak to. What has kept Honorable Atacia from, producing that document from January to now almost September before he issues his report?
Interesting. Ben, kindly stay with me. Let me bring in the senior staff chairman of Ghana Gas, Richmond K. Alamu. He is manager, asset integrity and maintenance, gas processing plant. Grateful to you for joining us here. Now, you disagree with the findings of the committee. Why do you disagree, and why do you think this deal is bad for the country?
And good morning to your cherished listeners. And let me first and foremost state emphatically that we've seen the Select Committee on Energy's report on this issue, and it's a misappropriation or misrepresentation of what we expected to see. There are a lot of facts that are missing in the report, and from the onset, the way this GENSER issue started, I mean, how they started their businesses, the discounted gas price that was given to them at the cost of the nation, a lot of issues. I mean, we sat down far too long to get to this level. Let me also state again, you know, Amandi constructed the pylons for Greco, and Amandi doesn't own
the pylons.
Transmission line, yes. So if we don't understand today why our main primary source or gas transmission will be given to a foreign entity to own, we have stated this entirely that is very, very wrong. And it's we, the ordinary Ghanaians, that are going to suffer. We, the Staff Association of Ghana Gas, we don't do politics. We don't belong to any political party. We are professionals, and we always make sure that we work to the benefit of the nation. Let me tell you, as a nation, there are a lot of areas that we need to improve on. And the last thing we all expect is for this energy industry of ours that brings a lot of revenue to, for bad decisions to be made, which have bad consequences on we all, including our forefathers that have fought for the nation to get to this far, our parents, our family members. We are all going to pay for this. And we were very shocked about the report that came out. The parliamentarians, the Parliamentary Select Committee, we trusted them and put them in office. And we are shocked about the report. Well, from yesterday, it looks like, we've seen that there were some miscalculations in their report. So at that area, I think we'll pardon them, and we have already started engaging them to do the corrections in terms of the figures. But one, from the report, Energy Commission, if you look at the report that was brought in, Energy Commission was invited to the committee. But Energy Commission's testimony was absent from the report that was submitted.
Okay.
Now, I think clearly it was omitted because GENSER is not licensed to, own a gas pipeline or gas transmission. So obviously that was why it was omitted. Let's ask ourselves why Energy Commission's testimony was taken out of the report. Secondly, the nation Ghana in the past years have committed a lot of resources into this gas infrastructure. One has to do with the fact that there's about 60-kilometer offshore pipeline that the nation Ghana, the taxman, including myself and the Ghanaian listeners listen to us, all paid for. And we are supposed to maximize those efforts. Now today, if GENSER is given this opportunity to do that, now what we are supposed to maximize that offshore pipeline, currently that transport the gas from offshore to our gas processing plant, and then to Saprade, to VRA, even including GENSER, we are not going to maximize it. Now, if GENSER is now going to construct a pipeline all the way offshore, then onshore to their various facilities, that cost as a businessman will go to who? They will subcharge it on we the customers or we the Ghanaians. It's not going to be free. A private man is here for his business. Now, again, my point is, if you look at what Ghana Gas have done through the years, even including the COVID time, right, and supporting a lot of issues or challenges that we have as a nation, it belongs to the nation. So the nation has the right to look at other areas in which the resources need to be channeled to. Now, you are bringing a foreign entity that is 70% owned by foreigners. What? The revenue that they get, we can't control that. And currently, we keep on trumpeting and keep on crying. The Ghanaian public keep on crying for this GENSER deal to be aborted. But we'll only consider the fact that there were calculations in terms of the figures that were submitted yesterday from the report. We will make sure they know the right calculations. Or most of the figures are totally wrong and it's very false. If you also go to the report, I can tell you, it's saying that there are a lot of things, there's a lot of problems. If you go to the report, if you read the benefits, they put a lot of benefits in bringing GENSER into the gas transmission pipeline, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I have a lot of challenges with.
I mean, they speak about 50 million tons of carbon dioxide reduction per year as a UPO1, UPO3 will reduce flaring and bring all flared gas to onshore for processing and utilization, as well as 0.225 million tons of power generation in Kumasi, saving about 40 megawatts of transmission losses. But we're still flaring gas, right?
Okay.
So this is like a game changer for us, isn't it?
It's not. Let me tell you.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying the report is very, very false.
Okay.
That gas that is currently being flared, Ghana Gas is building a second gas processing plant. And that's the same gas that we are going to use for the second gas processing plant. So nobody should throw that into anybody's eye. Sorry. So those issues are there. Before GENSER came in, that's what Ghana Gas have already brought as a flag or a vision. And they've stated that. Let me tell you as well, they did go ahead to say that they are substituting CNG as part of that, the benefit. I think is it 5 or 6? I don't have the report here. Yes.
They said 75% fuel cost reduction by substituting CNG for diesel.
And again, the CNG, you can ask Free Zone. You can ask Ghana Railways. The CNG is a project that's already been undertaken by Ghana Gas. So another falsehood that is being peddled in the report. I do not want to, go on but I expect them to do better.
So Mr. Alamu, you are saying that all of the things they are asking GENSER to do are things that Ghana Gas has already started doing them?
Yes, of course. Apart from that, we are saying that we are not against private investment. We all like private investment. There are a lot of areas that the private investor can invest in. If they come to the association, we can give GENSER a lot of areas that we think they need to improve on. But we can't sell our birthright to GENSER. The main transmission line for gas infrastructure should not be going to GENSER. Currently, they also made mention of creating jobs here and there, which we know as well as after GENSER going to the mines to supply gas to them, we know they're also taking the jobs of VRA, ECG, Gridco. You understand? So this is what we are saying. That everything, if you go to most of the countries that we have in the nation that have gas, nobody has their primary infrastructure to a foreign man or a foreign agency. We want GENSER to invest in the nation, but not in the gas, not the way they are going. It's totally wrong. And that's what we are saying. We need investment. We encourage private investment, but not our primary source of transmission. We cannot sit there and say Gridco belongs to somebody from, any country. Can we rule the nation? Or can the nation be a better place for us? It also has a national security implications. Let me tell you, if you go across the world, there are conflicts between countries. I can mention a lot, but I do not want to mention. Which, for instance, there's Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine has some facilities in Russia. Russia has similar in Ukraine. As a result of the conflict, those facilities are not running. We will say there will be a conflict between we and South Africa or the partners, the foreign partners of GENSER. But when that happens, can you control the infrastructure? You sold your birthright. Also, GENSER will decide or can decide to, as a business entity, to know who they are going to sell their gas to. Because they will look at the maximum profit of gas, not to the profit of the nation. That's what we are talking about. So, just like you have the land, own the land and let people invest on or do things on, because the land belongs to you. Then you can control it. We can decide that based on the gas infrastructure that belongs to the nation, we are taking this amount of money to invest in this area of challenges in the nation. Just like we did during the COVID, Ghana Gas currently, even apart from the COVID, there are a lot of corporate social responsibilities. Many of them, over 2,000 of them, that Ghana Gas have done. To be caught is a government agency. That's what we are talking about. There are more to the report.
And if you are permitting, I can go into it. They are total falsehood, and we expect the parliament. I think they've seen the mistakes that they've done, and it's been transferred to the finance committee. And I'm also happy. I think yesterday and the past few days, yesterday, the minority came out to what's the name, disassociate themselves from that report.
Yeah. So
we expect something better. We need to stop. We need to go further than that for this thing to die down.
So Mr. Alamu, are you saying that in the report they say over 400 million export revenue from NGL, LNG, liquefied natural gas, processing and export per year, over 980 million direct investment in Ghana with same amount of forex invested? You are saying these are not factual?
They are not factual. They are not factual. If you see, I do not want to go. We are engineers. You understand? And I know the politicians, some of them are also engineers. If we sit down and do the calculation, we will draw their attention to some of the figures that they have stated and some of the calculations that they've done, which is totally wrong. Some of the hydraulics that went to it, simulation that went to it, is totally wrong. It's totally wrong. And apart from what they are saying in the report, right? If GENSER or if a foreign man wants to invest and save us money, right? It can be done in a lot of ways. We don't understand. And let me also take this opportunity to thank the workers of Ghana Gas in the head office, Sema, Sakra, Prisia, Atuabo, and Esiama, for at least coming down on this issue. They keep on blaming leaders of our nation, but please, they should come down as well. Right? Yes, the figures are wrong. It's not about, we don't want to what's the name, personalized issues.
Okay.
But in the long term, most of the issues that are stated in the report is totally wrong. There was no broad-based consultation, and most of the facts and figures are mismatched to what needs to be in the report. And we will give it to them. We are going to take the opportunity to give to them and clear most of the doubts of Ghanaians on this issue.
Mr. Alamu, clear this for me. Was this agreement one that was signed earlier between Ghana Gas and GMPC before the GENSER people came in?
Agreement between Ghana Gas and GMPC in terms of gas?
In terms of, gas transmission.
From Talo?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So,
yes, this is what happened. So I think if time will permit me, I can go.
Explain for us. We have all the time for you, sir.
So then the approval was given for GENSER to come in to take gas, right? Right, for power generation.
Okay.
Right? Yes. But now, not because the license from the Energy Commission starts for the name gas transmission belongs to, for gas transmission, Ghana Gas. So when they came into it, along the line, there were reductions in prices here and there. They will say it's a good business negotiation. If we want to go into that again, it's another problem which I know Ghanaians will be very upset. Right? Then they abrogated the contract and then went to agreement with GMPC. And I think that what was the name? And they went to an agreement with GMPC. They had a gas sales agreement with GMPC. And now they are saying that they want to now own a gas transmission line. So
you said it started that GENSER was supposed to take gas from Ghana Gas for power generation. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there were some reductions in the whole agreement.
There were a lot of discounts that they had, which I do not want to even go into it. They will tell you that it's their business negotiation. But everybody that is giving anybody discounts, and anybody are leaders of the nation who are giving discounts to people or to any foreign entity. I don't want to go into. Let me leave that aspect.
Okay. So, Mr. Alamu,
I want to make a point here.
Okay.
We should know, as a Ghanaian, whatever decision that we are taking will have a dire consequences in the future on our children and our families' lives. So whatever decision, that's why myself, yourself, we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
We need to do something to uplift the economy of Ghana, not to bring the economy of Ghana into drain.
So I mean, GENSER was supposed to take the gas from you for power generation, and they left you guys to sign the agreement with GNPC directly. So you were left out of the deal.
Yes. It's not a problem. It's not a problem, right? But in the first place,
why is it not a problem when they I mean, you own the transmission lines, so they came to you to sign an agreement that give us gas for us to generate power. Now they've left you to go to GNPC. Why did they do that?
Not leaving us is not what I'm saying. It's not a problem. What I'm saying is not a problem. GENSER can decide to have any negotiation with GNPC. That's what I mean.
Okay.
But in terms of the reason why they abrogated the contract, my brother, if I keep on telling you that I think you weep as a person, as a Ghanaian.
No, I want to weep, sir, because we are at a point where we should put the country first. So let us know what are really the issues, so that if we will cry, we cry for this country.
I think GMCC should answer that, and also the ministry should answer that, because the ministry is the head of the supervisory of the energy industry among all the companies. The ministry should answer that. They should answer that, and I want to leave it for them. You understand? And you will see the problems or challenges that they will face with that answer.
If you don't tell us what you know, we might not be able to question them rightly.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the ministry needs to answer that question. Why they gave approval for GENSER? Not only the abrogation of a contract with Ghana Gas, the agreement in terms of GNPC, the discounts, and also the various approvals that the GENSER had to even start considering building a gas processing plant or a gas takeover the gas transmission line to an extent. The ministry should answer that, and we need a better forum for all the energy experts. Let me also state here that from the Parliamentary Select Committee's report, we need an external energy consultant, reputable one, to vet that report as well and give their comments, whether it will be right for we to go on the tangent we are going. It looks like Ghanaians are crying, but it looks like some few people, what they want to do is what they are trying to do. But I'm telling you, this GENSER deal will not see the light of day. And that's what, as an association of Ghana, we will have another forum to explain all the facts and nitty-gritties in this GENSER issue.
Mr. Alamu, so do I get the impression that with this agreement, it will make useless the second gas plant that Ghana Gas is putting up?
It will not make it useless. But already the second plant, the investment and construction has already started.
Yeah.
So what it means is that, and it's a Ghanaian mine to be subcharged, it's a Ghana Gas, just like our processing plant currently. That treats all Ghanaians and also helps in power generation. It belongs to me, you, and the Ghanaians.
Sure.
You understand? And even the investment that we put in, we expect more revenues from the investment. And the second processing plant has already started. So what it means is that, what's the name? The capacity or the benefits of the second processing plant, we are not going to have it to its entirety. So we want the politicians and the Parliamentary Select Committee to know. The Select Committee is both the minority, the independent candidates, and I think the majority. So, but the minority have come to separate themselves from the report, which I think is good. But what we want them to understand is that the investments that have been placed into this gas processing plant belong to us. So we need to maximize it. The second plant is coming on stream. So we will not get the maximum benefits of the second plant.
Okay.
Apart from that, the market is going to be controlled by a foreign man. That's what we don't want.
Okay.
So you can decide. If I'm GENSER, I can decide that you are Ghana Gas, so I can decide that if a third person comes in, is going to pay more for the gas, I'm going to give to him because I'm a businessman. I have the right to make sure that what will maximize my company, I do. So we, the ordinary Ghanaians, in terms of power generation, it's not going to be fulfilled. It's not going to be met. It's not going to be fulfilled.
So has GENSER laid 8 pipes to the FPSO to take the gas?
They've not.
They haven't done that.
Yes.
And this is something they intend doing.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's what already we have a pipeline. You see, that's why I was saying we have a pipeline from our gas processing plant, 60 kilometers offshore the FPSO.
Yeah.
Which we are maximizing it every day in, day out for we the Ghanaians. So now, if GENSER is going to construct another pipeline, obviously, who that charge is not going to be free. After that, who is that charge going to be? It's going to be on the consumer.
Okay.
After
all right.
for them to run their business, it's going to be on we the consumers.
Okay. Mr. Alamu, we have Ben Boachi on the line. You were talking about CSO, and they are one group that have been speaking up against this. I'll come to him, but kindly confirm this for me. Ghana Gas was supposed to construct a pipeline to Kumasi. Where are you on that one?
So, this what went on. You know, we have various phases of projects. And in terms of financial, what's the name? We use the Chinese loan to even build a gas processing plant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, we use the Chinese loan to build a gas processing plant. The Chinese build the plant, including some few Canadians from ED and some few companies or nations around to assist in building the plant. Again, the Chinese didn't own the plant. You get me? They didn't own it. They built it, and that's just I said about Mandi building the Great Coal pylons. They didn't own the plant. So GENSER, the approval, that also has to go to the ministry. Why GENSER was given the mandate or approval to build a pipeline from Pristia Enclave. I think they are getting to Kumasi now, and GENSER has built a pipeline. They have built a pipeline, and that was supposed to be our next phase of our project. And
so you built the line from Atuabo to Pristia, and they have continued to Kumasi.
And we are transporting gas through into it for them. That's when we expected that they were going to take the gas for power. You understand? But they now have taken the opportunity to what's the name? Go from Pristia, taking it to Kumasi.
Okay. All right, Mr. Alamu.
So from the beginning, the whole GENSER issue is really confused in terms of the decision making of the leaders that make these decisions. So I think there are lots. If the opportunity comes, Ben Boachi and ASEP, Imani and Co, they are all crying the same, and some more Ghanaians are also crying. And also, let me tell you, VRA, UCC, and our sister companies and Great Co are also crying. So the point that we have to make clear is that everybody wants the best for Ghana. Nobody is against anybody. If you have money and you want to invest in the nation, there are a lot of areas that you can invest in. But the strategy here is totally wrong.
Okay.
And this GENSER bill.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Richmond Alamu, for joining us here. He is the chairman of the Senior Staff Association of Ghana Gas. Ben Boachi is still with me. Mr. Boachi, you've listened to Mr. Alamu there, and I'm sure you can feel the frustration in his thought, and that extends to the senior staff of Ghana Gas. Why are we where we are? Why is this happening when a deal has been agreed with Ghana Gas to own the transmission lines, and then today we're bringing in a private player? And Mr. Alamu says it's like you're giving your birthright to a foreigner.
No, I think what is being said is that when you look at this whole transaction and the value chain of stakeholders, the regulators, workers, power companies, everybody is against this transaction, apart from the ministry and maybe the minister and the members on the committee, a few members of the committee, GENSER and some people in GMPC. There is widespread condemnation of this transaction. So it tells you, what have these people, these few people, seen that all of us have not seen on this agreement? What are they reading differently from what everybody else is reading? Right? And Mr. Alamu just told you that the testimony of the regulator, the one that is supposed to give license for transmission, was omitted from the report of the committee. So some few people want to cook this deal and shortchange the Ghanaian public, and we pay with our hard-earned money, for it. And that is really, really sad. When you speak to Honorable Atachia and some of the members who are pushing for the transaction, they tell you that it's a local company. They haven't even paid attention. They don't even know where GENSER is coming from. All right? The fact that you see Ghanaian faces doesn't mean that it's a Ghanaian company.
Where is it coming from?
It's a US-based company, operating in Ghana at this point. So that is what it is. And like Mr. Alamu said, we are selling our transmission infrastructure and corridor to the private company, and they are now going to determine who has access to the pipeline at any point in time. After the expiration of their 16-year and now 25 years arrangement with GNPC, they still own the pipeline, and they decide who can access the pipeline. Even today, if there is limited gas, the politicians will ensure that GENSER gets gas before any other power plants will get gas.
Wow.
So that is the kind of situation we are in at this point. And GNPC is signing to sell 60 mm scarf of gas at a discount, and they're not even telling us where they're going to get the cheap gas from. But the gas we are buying is costing more than that. Today, the gas price is up almost $7 per MMBTU, and it's going to escalate over time because the cheap gas has gone out. We had Jubilee Foundation gas, about 200 million standard cubic feet of gas given to us for free. The ministry itself recently approved $2.9 per MMBTU for the Jubilee gas. What that means is that there is no more free gas. So once you bring that into the port, the price has to go up. And then we are still selling it at 2.9 when we are buying at almost 7 to GENSER. And I've seen people say that, oh, it is not all commodity cost because you buy the commodity, you transmit it, there are regulatory fees. So let's look at the commodity cost. But for GENSER, what they buy from GNPC is the cost, the full cost of bringing the gas to their pipeline at Prestia. So it goes through pipelines, which has to be paid for, owned by Ghana Gas. It is regulated by the regulators, and the regulatory fees have to be paid. So before it hits GENSER's infrastructure, the full cost of that gas is the weighted average cost regulated by the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, PURC. So let's not kid ourselves. It is gas 6.08 at the time, discounted to 2.79 for GENSER, and we need explanations why that discount exists and what GNPC is going to do to optimize that pipeline reservation. Let's have the numbers. Which power plants do they have dotted around the country? Where is the gas coming from? Let's not just put numbers together to justify this transaction. And it's funny what the benefits they recount in their report. CNG, export of liquids. And where are they? Where are they going to get those liquids from? None of those exist. We are talking about CNG today when everybody's moving to renewable energy. Now even some trotros are moving to electric cars. Right in our faces in Ghana, you're talking about CNG.
They said they are substituting CNG for diesel.
They are substituting diesel for CNG. That's what they are saying.
Okay.
But it's not happening. So these are trumped up figures and numbers to justify this transaction by that select few that I talked about. All right. So that is it. So we're going to have, and GNPC keep pushing for PURC to put that rebate or subsidy into the tariff.
Okay.
So what that means is that the benefits that are going to GENSER, all of us are now going to have to pay for GNPC through the tariff.
Wow.
All right. Don't be surprised if your electricity tariff keep going up. Already we have done more than 100% in less than a year, and it will keep going up and up to be able to recover some of these wasteful contracts that GNPC is hanging on our neck.
You made mention of the fact that Ghana Gas is the only company that has to own the transmission of gas in Ghana. Is there a law backing it? And if there is, why are we not exploiting that to say that what GNPC is doing is illegal?
See, the ministry got to the committee and said there is no law, there is no policy. That is essentially a lie. In 2020, the ministry signed a policy letter to Ghana Gas and GNPC. That letter was before the committee. And that letter said that into the future, Ghana Gas will be the sole transmission company. So they will be the ones to own all transmission infrastructure. Yeah. So what is the policy directive that is supporting GENSER now becoming a transmission company and owning pipelines? There is no document. That is where the lacuna is. That's where the problem is. It is GENSER's behavior that is not supported by law or any direction. They are operating pipelines without approval from the Energy Commission as a transmission company. And they are now managing a broader network of pipelines, almost 300 kilometers, without a transmission license. What kind of country are we building? That once you know the minister and the minister likes you, you can do anything without policy or without regulatory sanction. Or once some few select members of a parliamentary committee supports you, you can be given the power to do anything you want in the country. And that is what, these people are supervising and telling all of us that it is a good deal, and we have to continue to prop it up so that our loss becomes the gain of the promoters of this transaction.
Ben, this is, listening to you and Mr. Alamu this morning, it's quite sad indeed. But is there nothing we can do?
No, there is everything we can do. It has to be reviewed. They have to now look at the numbers. And the committee should do serious work if they really want to look at the national interest. Let's look at how much investment is going into it, into the building of the pipeline. Let's fairly compensate GENSER for the construction of the pipelines with interest. That is all there is for them. They cannot just push out phantom numbers and just get benefits from the state. We are paying for the entire infrastructure. They are going to own the infrastructure and determine who can even have access to the infrastructure. So now, across the entire network of GENSER, they can build pipelines and get gas from GNPC and sell the power cheaply to take up the market from VRA and ECG. And ECG has already complained to PURC that some of the market has been taken over by GENSER because of the cheap gas that we are giving them.
Okay.
So you are giving them cheap gas, they're able to generate electricity and sell to the mines. So the big ticket consumers are being taken away by GENSER because it is being subsidized by the state.
All right, giving money to the private.
So you and I pay more through the electricity to go and subsidize the business of a private company.
Giving money to the private man at the expense of the state. That's what this is. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining us. Grateful. Ben Boache is the Executive Director of the African Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. Well, what are your thoughts on this one? Join us on Facebook and leave your comment there. I'll read that to the rest of our viewers. Well, also on the show, we'll engage the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, NAPE. Now, NAPE says it has trained 24,000 youth in innovative agriculture under the Ghana Cares Obatampa program and has dispersed grants to 1,000 beneficiaries so far. And also some 30 tech hubs across the 16 regions of the country have benefited from government's 80 million cities capacity building program under the NEIP Hubs Acceleration Grant Program of the Ghana Economic Transformation Project, GTEP. Our guest is Kofi Ofosun-Kansah, CEO of NEIP. So thanks for this opportunity to get into NAPE and to understand what you're doing currently. What's happening in the office so far?
Okay, thank you very much. A lot is happening. As you know, in the year 2017, the President set up the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program as a flagship initiative to provide integrated national support for startups and small businesses. And this support comes in the form of business development services, training and capacity building, funding support, connecting our beneficiaries to markets, that is access to markets and market linkages, providing access to quality assurance and regulatory agencies like Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority, so that our beneficiaries will get the right certification and licensing to be able to undertake their businesses, take their products to market, and other business development support services that startups need. And it's been an interesting journey so far. It started at the Business Development Ministry under Honorable Dr. Awa. My senior brother John Kuma was the first CEO, and they rolled out a couple of interesting products. I'm talking about our programs, you know, for the program. And some of these programs were the presidential pitch, presidential business support, the presidential empowerment for male entrepreneurs with disability, presidential empowerment for women entrepreneurs with disability, our greenhouse project, the Students Entrepreneurship Initiative, and others. And we've been running those programs since 2017. We've been able to train over 70,000 beneficiaries, you know, through these programs. And so far, we have created some 100,000 jobs from them. Out of the 12,000 or so grants and loans that we've given to these beneficiaries. So that has been the journey so far, and it's been very interesting. And that is what I am building on. So I am continuing with these existing programs like the presidential pitch. So just last Friday, we had a 4th season of the presidential pitch, and the presidential pitch is a business competition for young people, 40 years and below. They come and pitch to the president. We get entries across all sectors of the economy, TVET, manufacturing and processing, agribusiness, and what have you. And we select the last 30. We come to Accra, take them through preparatory sessions, and select the final 10 for them to pitch to the president. And the whole idea is to select high growth potential startups, to invest in them, to expose them, you know, to put them out there for the general public, prospective investors, angel investors, those who be interested in investing in such businesses, to see them so that they can invest in them. Even though we give them good grants, it's not bad. This year, for instance, the winner got 200,000 Ghana cedis. But we do not think that will be enough for the entrepreneurship journey. So what the presidential pitch really does for the winners or the contestants is to put them out there, you know, for would-be investors to see them and then to come on board and invest in those businesses for them to become the unicorns that we want to have in future. So an example of a startup which has done very well from the presidential pitch is Chicken Man Pizza Man.
Oh, the beneficiary?
Yeah, which, he was 10th in the 2nd season, which was held in the year 2019.
Oh, okay.
And with the little capital that NEIP gave him then as a K University student, he was able to start his first branch, Pizza Man Chicken Man. He is today. Other investors have come on board to invest in the business, and he's employing over 1,000 individuals, young people in Ghana. And he has the largest restaurant chain in the country now, you know, creating value for Ghanaians and contributing to our economic development. So that's the whole idea of the presidential pitch, to zoom in on high potential startups who have the high probability of doing well, so that in future they can then, you know, expand and create more jobs for the good people of Ghana. So if we look at what is happening in the economy, the government is building an entrepreneurial nation, you know, to achieve 2 things. One, fiscal consolidation, and also to help with job creation. Because our finances are not all good as a developing country, but we believe that if we're able to nurture the big businesses, if we're able to support people to create alternative employment avenues aside the regular government payroll and private corporate sector, then we will be churning out future Sir Kwame Despite and Zoom Lions and the rest, so that they will in turn employ lots of people. So this is to mark a conscious departure from job seeking to job creation and ownership. So a lot is happening in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Our sister agency, Ghana Enterprise Agency, they are doing a lot of grants through various World Bank programs. NEIP, we're also doing the same. I'll be talking about other programs that I have also added on to our portfolio since I took over. And all these are geared towards telling our young people that, hey, you don't have to finish school, go through the formal sector to do national service and sit home to wait for government. You can start something, because government is creating the conducive environment for entrepreneurship to thrive, for innovation to thrive, to encourage our young people for them to know that if I start something, government will do the hand-holding, government will provide the support and help us to also reach our destination. Because entrepreneurship is also challenging. It is very, very challenging. So we will continue to provide these supports through our programs and various interventions. Because the president himself is very committed. That is why at our programs like the presidential pitch, you have the president sit for 2 hours just to see young people pitch their businesses to him, you know, so that he can also continue to provide the support that they need to grow the businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing helping them to set up.
Yeah.
And there's another thing helping them to sustain the businesses. What is the plan?
So we have good sustainability plans. One of which is our collaboration with the startups, the tech hubs, the various innovation and tech hubs. So we have a nationwide arrangement with the tech hubs, and they are like our branches. So wherever our beneficiaries are, we assign them to the tech hubs in the communities, and then they would be going to the sites to inspect the businesses, to give us reports on how the businesses are doing and all that. We also have our internal M&E team, monitoring and evaluation team, which also goes to the field, to the business sites. We call them, we take reports from them, we go to inspect what they are doing, and that is what informs us to continue supporting them. So there are some beneficiaries who have accessed support 2 or 3 times because they are doing well and they need more support.
Okay.
So we do a lot of monitoring and evaluation together with our partner hubs to ensure that the businesses are using the grants and loans we give them for the purposes for which they took them. Yeah.
I remember that one of the key things this government wanted to do in reshaping the economy was the Ghana Cares of Batampa.
Yeah.
And I know you play a huge role in it.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Okay, so the Ghana Cares of Batampa program is an ambitious 100 billion cedi revitalization program. When COVID happened, a lot of businesses were affected across all sectors of the economy. So government thought it wise to bring a stimulus package sort of to help with the restoration and revitalization program. And it's a very big program. There are over 20 government agencies on board, and NEIP happened to be one of the agencies pushing the youth side of the Ghana Cares of Batampa program. So far, we are on board to help with the youth get interested in farming, especially commercial agriculture. So last year, for instance, we launched a youth and innovative agriculture program under the Ghana Cares of Batampa program, and this sought to train 24,000 youth in innovative agri. We received 40,000 applications from young people of Ghana. And what is happening now is that there's a high appetite for entrepreneurship. So any call for application that we do, we get over subscription. So after the 40,000 applications, we were able to train 24,000 of them across 40 agri training institutions in the country. Training was in vegetable farming, tubers, we had yam and cassava, we had cereals farming, we had agro-processing, those who do the fruit juice, plantain chips and what have you, did agri-tech, and also did livestock and poultry training. And it was very interesting. The interest level was very, very high. So after the training, what we are doing now is to face the disbursement of grants. Last year we were able to do 500 grants. We disbursed grants to 500 individuals, and this year, just about 2 weeks ago, we've done another 500. So we are going to face this until we reach all the 24,000 people that we trained. Another program that we are doing on the Ghana Cares of Batampa program is the Economic Enclave Project. And this is a commercial farming project where enclaves are being designed and developed and set up with all the infrastructure that is needed for commercial farming. When you go to abroad, the Western countries, farmers are one of the richest people. So that is what we want to model. We want to move the youth away from the subsistence farming that our parents and grandparents were known for, the cutlass and hoe farming. So if you go to Asuchare, for instance, the Chopoli area, which is an enclave in the Greater Accra region for the Batampa program, we are putting up hostels where the students will live on the farm to do their farming. We are getting the machinery ready. We have anchor farmers. The Ministry of Agri gets us a good variety of seeds for planting, the irrigation authority is helping with irrigation. So this is technology-driven agriculture, technology-driven commercial farming, to tell the young people that agric isn't that frustrating or difficult to do. We are creating the environment for you. The machines are doing the plowing. The uncle farmer will teach you how to go about the farming. Even taking your produce to market, you have an uncle farmer who has ready market to connect you to the relevant buyers for them to buy your rice. In case of the Suchari farm, when the rice is harvested.
Okay, so Suchari is for rice.
Suchari is for rice. We've started rice there. Oti is also being developed. Oti is going to do cereals and vegetables and tubers and other crops that we don't import. We're also doing sale between the Kumaru and Agogo, Santiachim area, and this is the Front Plains area. And we have plans of starting the northern region one in Savannah also very soon. So if you realize, recently the president came up with some crops that, or some products that he thinks we should be able to stop their importation as part of our import substitution agenda. So we factor all these things in the choice of, crops that we grow. Because, we still import onions sometimes from Burkina and Niger, some West African
we import it heavily.
So these are strategically done to ensure that we are producing enough for local consumption and also to produce more for the international market. Leverage after to enter the sub-regional market of 400 million and also the entire regional market, African regional market of 1.3 billion. And also to add value to this agriculture process, because what is it with these agric products is that they have a long value chain. Whatever you produce, you can add value to them, package them, get a relevant certification and licensing, and take them to market and even export sale. So it is a cluster of various businesses within the enclaves. So you have maybe cereals cluster, you have livestock cluster, because from the waste from the cereals, you can even feed the livestock. From fruits and vegetable process, you do packaging. The packaging can be done materials from, let's say, the waste from the cereals and what have you. So that is the grand plan, and it's a very ambitious project, and the Millennium Development Authority is leading this under the Ministry of Finance to ensure that all other agencies are also on board and playing their part. What we really do as NEIP is to onboard the young people on the programs. Yeah, so currently if you go on our website, www.neip.gov.gh, we have a link there through which you can apply for the rice production program at Asuchari in Cape to become a rice farmer. We are currently building the hostels there. They are near completion. We are going to do the training at a greenhouse estate. Then another Kwakufuado Entrepreneurship Center at Dawenya. That is where we are going to train them in the rice cultivation and also give them the business development skills, because whatever you are producing, you need the business side of it and the soft skills to undertake it well. And then once they are done, we'll go to the field and start the right cultivation with the support of the anchor farm as well.
So as we speak, there's no one there.
So as we speak, the anchor farmer is there. And we have even started.
The beneficiaries are not there.
So the youth beneficiaries are not there, but the process has started. They are going to continue. We've cultivated about 500 acres already as a start, and harvesting has even started. You can take your cameras there.
Who did it?
Sorry?
Who did it? Who did the cultivation? Yourself?
The anchor farmer. No, we have somebody who is a model for the youth. Who is leading the project.
So he's being supported by the
Exactly. So government gave the farm impulse, the seedlings and all those things for the planting to be done, and he is leading it. So that is the model we are using for the enclaves. So we have a number of anchor farmers. So if it is within a 10,000 acre cluster, he is the example, he is the model who is, showing the youth around. This is how, because he has done it for several years. He's exposed into the international market, agro-canes, and now rice. He does it. So he's the anchor farmer that government has chosen to lead the youth who will come on board the project to do same, so that we can have more thousands of acres and be able to have enough rice for local consumption.
So if I'm a youth and I want to be part, how many acres can I be entitled to?
So I think that depends a lot on what happens on the field when you go there, the capacity you show. But the last time I was in a meeting, the discussions were around giving them minimum 5 acres for them to start with. But if you show capabilities and you can do more, why not? Because we've secured 20,000 acres in Suchari alone. And there's an opportunity to even extend that. We've secured 30,000 in OT, Fram Plains area between Kumau and Agogo. We've secured another 20,000, and there's even more to be done depending on how the pace goes. Yeah.
What am I supposed to come on board with if I'm interested?
You just have to come with your whole being. That is all. Just yourself. That is it. Because government is providing everything: the seedlings, where you will sleep, the resources, logistics, and even connect you to the market, so that probably when the produce is sold, you know, it will be used to defray some of the operational costs, and then you can have your money as a young commercial farmer who is.
I don't have to own a company before?
Not at all. It's a very simple. All what you need is your Ghana card.
Okay. To
come on board. And this is similar to arrangements we have in all our other programs. You know, like as I said, we've introduced some other new programs. NEIP, we start with the beginners. You know, we provide support for startups and small businesses. So when you come, we will start from the beginning, from the basis. We will nurture you, we will do the hand-holding, take you through even business registration, any regulatory support that you need for you to become a proper business. Other agencies deal with the existing SMEs. And for them, if it is a big grant especially, they will expect you to have certain documentation before you come on board. But we deal with the youth who are starting businesses, who want to do something, who want to start something. So we have that patience for them to take them through the registration process. And for almost all our programs, from the presidential page to business support to period to permit to the greenhouse to the new ones that we've introduced, like the Youth in Innovative Agri, to the Enclave project, to the partnership that we have with UIE to train them in vocational skills, to the prisons one we did, to our innovation programs. We have 4 new innovation programs: the National Innovation Challenge, High School Innovation Contest, the National Innovation Hackathon. Everything is from beginners. You just have to identify as a Ghanaian. And then I think the only program that we needed business registration was the support that we were giving the hubs, because that was specific. We were providing support from 1 million Ghana cedis to 2 million Ghana cedis to entrepreneurship and innovation hubs. They are like our partners. They help us with the training, with the capacity building. So we needed to check that, of course, they are in the space, they are profitable, what are their figures like, what kind of training do they do, what kind of incubation activities have they done, what kind of accelerator programs have they run, what is their sustainability plan, because you cannot give Ghana government money of 2 million cedis to any company at all. So the entrepreneurship support agencies like NEIPG, MACLOC and the rest, the support that we give depends on the quantum of amount. That is what, you know, informs us of the documentation. Of course, if it is some 5,000, 10,000 cedis for you to start something, we can take the risk and start with somebody who hasn't even registered in the company.
So as we speak with the Enclave project, you spoke about rice. Have you started any other thing? Because you mentioned that you have to start the northern area as well. Aside the rice, which the field is ready, you are building hostels.
So as I said, the crops are specially chosen to fit our import substitution program. So if we go to the Kumawu one, I know they are cultivating tomatoes and
that has also started.
That has started. And the OT one has also started. It is enough one that is yet to start. So far we have 3 Enclave projects
that have started. But for all the sites, we don't have the youth there. We are yet to
currently starting the onboarding process. That is why I mentioned that if you go on www.neip.gov.gh, we are currently doing onboarding through an expression of interest to the Asuchare Enclave in Chopoli for the youth to start doing that activity.
So you've not started the onboarding to the other sites?
No, we are doing the land preparation and the other infrastructure development, because it's a comprehensive project and you need to give the youth where they will even lay their head, you know, and all the facilities that they need to do proper commercial farming before you can start. But at least the project has started and infrastructure is being put in place.
So when do we expect to get youth to Asuchare, for example? When is the target date?
The training is going to start next month. Yeah, the training is going to start in September. So I'm sure latest by October, they should start the farming.
Yeah. and so the chances are open for people to apply. How many people are you expecting?
We have 10,000 acres, so as many youth that are interested. But of course, the infrastructure there can take up to a certain number. So we are looking at starting with about 300 to 500 now, and then we will be increasing the numbers as we go on, depending on the infrastructure capacities of what we've done there. Yeah.
So if you don't know about it, now you've heard about it, kindly go onto the NEIP platform, apply and then be part of this Enclave project. An interesting one, of course.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the number of young people who would start there. Aside that, take me more into the innovative agriculture you spoke about.
Yeah.
What really does it entail?
So the innovative agriculture was to support the youth who are doing their farming already.
Okay.
You know, the Enclave project is to introduce them into commercial farming. But innovative agriculture, we targeted the young people who are doing agric already to train them in best agric practices, to train them in modern technology, which supports agriculture, and also to provide them grants to buy farm inputs like fertilizers, insecticides, for those in the livestock, the feed, the chemicals that they use, you know, to prevent diseases from attacking them, and all that. Same with the poultry and the livestock. And so far it's gone very well. Last year, some came for support to start aquaculture. And now there's a gentleman in Central Region who started with just 20,000 cedis. Now he has 5 big ponds in his aquaculture business. So we do support in the fish farming, also as part of the Enclave project. Our brothers and sisters in the north, most of them are doing the cereals, the millet, the maize, the sorghum, and the rest. And we did the exhibition in our last disbursement ceremony, and it was very interesting. See some of these cereal products being processed into drinks and other, you know, processed foods, you know, and it was very interesting. Some are processing plantain and what have you, fruit juice, and that's another exciting area, because if you look at the basic food that we consume, the processed tomatoes, the processed rice, and processed fruit juice, every year the nation spends about 2 billion Ghana cedis to import this. The idea is to give young people the capacity locally so that they'll be able to produce substitute goods as replacement for these things, so that instead of going to a shell shop or any mart to buy processed fruit juice with the dollars that is difficult to find that we used to import, we would rather patronize our own locally made fruit juice and stop importing these things. Once we do that, of course, wealth creation happens, and also our currency will also be strengthened, because the money that we used, the 2 billion cedis that we used to import this annually, will be kept here. We wouldn't have to go looking for dollars. The cocoa process, which is $2 billion that we get, ends up being used to import these basic things, you know, which we can produce. And so far, I think the response has also been good. Our people have a huge appetite to do these things. The resources and the logistics and the tools and equipment and machinery that is needed to do them are not difficult to come by. Sometimes all they need is a domestic blender in a hygienic environment to start processing the fruit juice. We connect them to FDA Standards Authority, they get the approval, and then they are on the market and they are selling. And they are actually natural and taste better than, you know, the juices that we import from outside, which has a lot of artificial additives. So we will continue to support them. It's being phased. Anytime we get funds from the Ministry of Finance, we do the next quote. We will do it until we cover majority of them.
So how many people are on this innovative agricultural scheme? So
we trained 24,000 of them last year across the 6 areas that I mentioned: vegetables, tubers, agro-processing, cereals, poultry, livestock, agri-tech, and we have disbursed grants to 1,000 of them so far. We are expecting to do about 2 or 3 cohorts before the end of the year. The next year we will continue with the disbursement.
How much does each receive, depending on the business?
So they receive between 10,000 cedis and 100,000, depending on the scale of the business. There's a gentleman who came for the recent disbursement ceremony who has over 100 acres of maize farm in the Bono Havu region. Of course, he is going to receive more than somebody who has, let's say, 100 or 200 chicken in his poultry business. So the level of support we give depends on the size of the farm. Our monitoring and evaluation team goes on the site to do due diligence and brings a report, and that's what informs what grant we decide to give each farmer. Yeah.
There's also the belief that sometimes some of these projects you target, you know, in quote, people who belong to your political parties for support.
Yeah.
How do you ensure that, you know, whoever you're giving the money to is not only a member of your party, but I mean a Ghanaian?
Yeah, we want to make impact. We want to create jobs. So we cannot focus on only those who identify as MPP. Our processes are very transparent. If you look at the presidential pitch, for instance, we had a panel of judges who did the selection, and we didn't intervene in the selection. It is the same with the grant committee, which does the disbursement through the Youth in Agri program. It is very transparent. We have some metrics that they use to do the assessment. So all the 50 people who came for the disbursal ceremony, for instance, if you call them, they will tell you that they were just called at random to come to Kama conference room where we had a disbursement ceremony, and then they were given their dummy checks and we've disbursed the money to them. So it is a very transparent process. But MPP people are also Ghanaian. So if you're MPP and you have a farm and you qualify, of course, MPP people have gotten it. Some are NDC, some are New Trust. It is for young people of Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I also read that you wanted to do something in the prisons.
Yeah, so that is our entrepreneurship for restoration program. And we focused on the prisons because we have a 15,000 youth population in the prisons. We cannot be deploying entrepreneurship support programs in the ecosystem without thinking about these 15,000 who find themselves there, unfortunately. So what we did was to sit with the prisons DG and design a program for them. So these are hands-on programs, how to make soaps, like liquid soap and other medicated soap that they even use in the prisons. How to process cereals like Tom Brown, processed rice, and the rest, fruit juice processing, and other, you know, regular consumables that we use in our homes. And it didn't just end at the training. We've given them business development support too, so that they can market whatever they are producing. And we've set them up in the prison. So as I'm talking to you now, 6 prisons across the country, including in Sawam, Kumasi, Akusi, and others, have equipment for production of some of these products, liquid soap, Tom Browns, fruit juice, and what have you. Local drinks like Asana and the rest. And these are products that they are producing and using, and they can even sell them to the markets, like the way they used to process tissue paper at Instagram and others. So our prisons are gradually becoming factories now.
Okay.
Thanks to the collaboration between NEIP and the Ghana Prison Service too.
So when I go to these prisons, I'll see some of these productions. You're calling them factories?
Yes, there are many factories already, because if you are to look at the pictures of our launch, which we had with Honorable Interior Minister, the products from the prisons were exhibited.
Okay.
And the minister was even surprised that within a short time they had gotten this training and they were producing some of those things for their consumption already. Of course, they have to go through certain processes before those products can go to the market to be sold, because they are new products.
As you sit here, I'm sure you have a tenure within which you have to work.
Yeah.
If your tenure comes to an end and you arise from this seat, or you rise from this seat, what sort of legacy do you want to be, remembered by, or do you want to live here?
Okay, that's a very good question. So fortunately for me, I met a program that is the Ghana Economic Transformation Project, and this project seeks to reposition NEIP as a stronger entrepreneurship and innovation agency. So we've done the audits and we've highlighted the weaknesses of the agency, and we are reinforcing the agency based on the audit that was done. So if you go to ecosystems like Kenya, South Africa, Israel, there is an authority which oversees innovation and entrepreneurship. We were set up with an executive instrument, and that is not big a legal framework enough. I would want to leave an NEIP which is backed by law, with an act of parliament, with all the powers to give incentives to startups for them to be able to thrive in an ecosystem, to grow, to become the unicorns of tomorrow, so that anybody who comes here will have a template to work with. And agencies like the Israel Innovation Authority, the South Africa Technology Innovation Agency, because the systems are there and government has provided those incentives, it doesn't have to take somebody who comes to sit on the seat to think about what to do. Okay. Because you know that as an innovation authority of Ghana, let's say if it becomes Ghana Innovation Authority, if NEIP becomes that, you know that this is the mission, this is the vision. Not that we don't have some today, but it will be properly put in context with a legal framework, with a board, with possibly a fund, with support of the development partners and the private sector. Everybody will play their role, and with a checklist, you will know that this is what we are doing for innovation to thrive, for those who have ideas to help commercialize and launch the ideas. And this is what we are also doing for existing businesses already, for them to grow and become the unicorns of tomorrow. This is what we are doing for mass businesses, for them to multiply easily, to create more jobs so that we have a ripple effect in the economy. So that is a kind of NEIP I can envisage, and I hope to sincerely hand that over before the tenure of President Nana Akufo-Addo comes to an end. We are working on that with the relevant agencies. We are working on the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology to see where there will be synergies to explore and exploit to ensure that we are not duplicating activities in the ecosystem, and we are working in unison to ensure that we have a robust innovation agency to support the private sector to grow. Okay.
I guess you've started the legislation process then, because you have like 2 years?
Yeah,
less than 2
so
years.
there's a committee working on the act, and we are collaborating with relevant agencies like the MST and others to ensure that it is passed. And government is supporting us. Okay. Even under the Ghana Digital Acceleration Project, the GDAP, there is a fund which is allocated purposely for the passage of that act. Okay. So it is ongoing.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. But a lot of your young guys are going into politics. They want to go into parliament. Do you want to go as well? Which constituency?
Yes. I'm a full-time politician, you know. I've been a full soldier since my test days.
I mean parliament.
Yes. So why not? Parliament is one of the political growth processes. So I have that. I've actually contested primaries before.
Oh, okay.
I contested in 2020, and I hope to contest again next year when the party opens nominations. My constituency is Santiago Central, and I hope to represent them soon.
Okay. Yeah. All right, then all the best then.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So that is, if you haven't been to the NEIP website, kindly do, because there are so many opportunities there. Go grab one for yourself and let's help build Ghana together. Welcome back. Now, today we tell the story of help that has come for, Abam, a yogurt seller and level 200 student of the University of Ghana who was aspiring to be a geophysicist, but feared his hopes will be dashed because there was no help. This is what we have for you on AM Business, brought to you by courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And that's what we're focused on, telling the story of the support that's come to Abam, someone who dreams to be a physicist, but lack of funds, he feared that his dream was not going to be realized.
That's the work I do to support myself. I mean, pay my fees, then feed myself. I started last year. By then, I was working with Avortic Ghana Limited at Tema, but the salary was too small. So I decided to sell yogurts. My parents are there. My parents are there.
They are there?
Yeah, they are there.
How come are they not supporting you?
Oh, if they have, they would have supported me. Both of them are into fishery. My mom is a fishmonger and my father is a fisherman.
Where are they from?
From Afasni.
These were the words of Abam, a 21-year-old student at the University of Ghana, who used to juggle between school and manual job of selling yogurt on the street to make money for himself and his education.
That one I would say is not easy. And yes, so I have to work small to support myself. That is on Saturdays and maybe Sundays, but for the Sundays, not all that regular. I only work on Saturday. and use Sundays and the non-working and the working days to, study.
Abam was on the verge of dropping out of school a few weeks ago due to lack of support. The hopes of the young man of becoming a geophysicist was nearly dashed.
In fact, I can't learn with empty stomach, so I have to, find something. And as I'm schooling too, I can't say because of the challenges I will stop. And the fees too is not easy. Last year I paid 2,106, and this year I paid half. I paid 70% rather. Being a non-resident, I will first of all talk about the TNT. They don't actually know me, and we are in Accra. All of us are minding our business, like we struggle to feed ourselves. So that one, I don't think it has nothing to do with me and my customers. Daily, my average ranges from 60 to 70 cedis a day.
That is how much you make from selling?
My profits,
So in a week, we are looking at almost 300 cedis plus.
Yeah.
And that's enough for you to pay your school fees and all that?
It's not enough anyway, because out of that amount, I use some to, buy food, then save some for my fees and others.
The goal of becoming a geophysicist has now received a massive boost. He believes this could go a long way to support his education.
After this story, I have received a lot of feedbacks, some from friends and from our supporting company, that's Ghana Gas. Yeah.
So talking about friends, now let me understand. Did your friends contribute to give you anything? Did you get money from other places at all?
Yeah, my friends helped me a lot. Some encouraged me, some too contributed something to help me and others. A day then I had a call and I pick it, and the voice turned out to be a call from Ghana Gas. Yeah, so he just asked me details of my parents and I provided, and he took my contact and asked me to register a bank account. Yeah, that's all what the person who called said. I said it earlier in the story that I don't know whether the transmission wasn't good or something like that, but the person who called didn't talk about the letter. He just went ahead and then asked me of my details, that of my parents, and then myself, and instructed me to register an account. Yeah, they did mention the money that they have given me is solely for my hall fees and then school fees. So I have to also manage it properly. Yeah, so since they have given me everything, I think I have to look for the hall and then pay the school fees myself. So I am also looking forward to get a hall.
But have you applied for any hall on campus?
The protest has not been open, so I'm looking forward. And I am also trying to talk with the senior hall tutors to find myself an accommodation.
Despite having a difficult upbringing in a very low-income family, Abam has defied all odds to succeed.
Let me say, even though I have gotten the support, I shouldn't say because I have gotten that I will also, cost them a lot. In fact, I have to consider certain things. Yeah, so for the hall, I'm basically looking for one of the local halls. Yeah, that one is quite affordable, and I think it will also help. I have not heard anything like that, but I believe it will continue. Yeah.
When did you receive this particular 7,000 from Ghana Gas?
Just 2 weeks ago.
That was when you were done creating a new account and all.
Yes, please. Yeah, for the internship, I'm the one who is supposed to, tell them, yeah. So I will try that one too. I will try.
But let's look at academics generally. From before the story and after the story where you've gotten some help from Ghana Gas now, How is academics going? Is it that tedious? Are you still going back to sell the yogurt or what exactly?
Now I'm no more selling the yogurt again. And academics is also, good. Yeah.
And now you could see some improvement in your GPA.
Oh yes, of course. I have seen a great improvement, and I think it will even be better. Yeah, is to express my heartfelt thanks to them. In fact, they have been a source to many, and I am one of them. So all what I will do is to thank them, express my heartfelt generosity towards them. Yeah, I thank them very much. Yeah.
All right. So still, the dream of being a geophysicist is still in mind?
Yes, please, yeah. For that one, it's still, kindle me. So my focus is to be a geophysicist. Yeah. Me personally like helping people. Me personally, yeah, I like helping people. So I think I will also do a lot for people.
Coming from a fishing community, Abam aspires to change the lives of other students after achieving his dreams of becoming a geophysicist. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
Welcome back to the AM show, and let's delve a bit deeper into us. Our being as African people and people of African descent. And come in studio and have this discussion with people who are really, have committed themselves to trying to reunite the African people with our our forefathers and what happened to them, and the need for the West to really, for lack of a better word, pay for what really happened to us so many decades ago or centuries ago. I have in the studio Ibrahim Khan, special advisor at Open Society Foundation, and also I have Veronica Chatelain, senior programs officer with the Open Society Foundation. Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and
good
welcome.
Morning. Thank you.
Why is this so important for us at this time, to have these frank discussions about restitution of African cultural heritage?
Well, we are at a turning point in international relations. You heard about the prospect for African countries to get a seat at the G20.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You heard about the meeting of the BRICS.
Yeah, which is currently ongoing.
Yeah, go. I think we are at the crossroad where it's important for Africa to really design the way they want to see international relations conducted. We were subject. We want to be an actor. And to be an actor, you need also to bring on the table issues that are really of importance to you, your community, and the continent. And in that prospect, revisiting the past is really very important for all of us. Okay. Revisiting the past to know who did what, but also to make sure that in the future we will avoid the same problem, we will avoid the same mistakes. I think that's what it is. And also, the heritage we are talking about, it's part of our life. It's that heritage that distinct us from other communities in the world. And some of them were looted in a very violent manner. Some of them were taken probably for more study. Now that they've done the study, that they've done everything, we want this thing back to our community, because we want our community, the young generation that is coming in our society, to also learn about their own history, their own heritage, and to start thinking on using those elements to build their own future. The future depends on us, particularly. And this is what we want them to do. And to be able to do that, we have to bring, this gathering that we are having this week in Accra, it's all the black from the world. Because we have all been victim somehow of practices that nobody can accept now. So we want together to think about our own future. We want together to also design the new way we want to be part of the world.
Why must I bother about restitution? I mean, after so many years, why should I even be bothered by it?
Very interesting question. If I can take an image, after the restitution, I think you will not be dressing like this in the future.
I'll change it.
You will change it.
I'll wear my kente.
It's a way of changing our mindset.
Okay.
It's a way of making us real African, knowing who we are, where we are coming from, and what we want, where we want to go. Because it's not just about symbolism. It's also about our economy, our politics, our culture, everything. If something is restituted, it will help the community first to know itself, but it will, also help the community to think about how in the future to get better organized, to get better structured. Maybe the way of our way of dressing can change. The way we design building can change. Many, many, many things can change. And that's why we need, and it's timely because we are in international relations, for example, that the decolonization is really ending at this moment. France is no longer what it was, the British are, but that's a good momentum for all of us to reshape, our relationship with the rest of the world, but to also think about what we are bringing in the new international relations.
Veronica, this has some political implications. What are these?
I think that's a better question for Ibrahima.
Oh, Ibrahima. Okay, then take it from me. What are the political implications of all of this?
The political implication is, first, Africa will no longer accept the way it was treated in the future. The political implication is for us as African to determine how we think ourselves in terms of our political relationship among African states. For example, in this restitution issue, we had to adopt an African common position on how restitution should be done. We are not going to the Western world divided. We are going to the Western world united, having accepted the same strategy, having adopted the same strategy. And also, when these things are restituted, it's for the whole continent. At the time it was looted, there was no Ghana, no Mali, no Guinea, no Nigeria, no Kenya. So when it's come back to us, it's a tool for reuniting us, for making sure that we know each other, our culture, our tradition. Those are very, very important in the context where we are all talking about integration, we are all talking about African unity. This is the time.
And I think also as part of African unity is we've been told who we are, we've been told how to dress, we've been told how to do our hair. And I think that it's not just about restituting these objects, it's about restituting the knowledge systems of what our ancestors were trying to teach us that has been stolen from us. So rather than going to school and learning Western forms of education, we'll be able to now design our own forms of education and really learn about our own histories, because the people of African descent, whether you are abroad, whether you're from here, Caribbean, US, whatever, we are divided. Asian communities are not divided. Western communities are not divided. The Black community is the only community that has been divided by the West. So now we'll be able to not just repatriate our objects and our heritage and human remains, but also ourselves and who we are, so that we're able to create our own blueprint of what the future looks like. Imperialism is crumbling, and this is the most opportune time to move forward with what we want to see the future of Africa.
So are we looking at a geographical location to say, bring back everything you took from Africa to Africa? Because we know we have our brothers and sisters in Haiti, for example, in Barbados, in Jamaica. All of these people see that are Africans, but they have been taken out of their, the geographical location of the continent. Is that what the focus is, or?
I think it's both. Okay. I think it's both geographical, but I think it's also, like Ibrahim Khan said, it extends beyond what borders are, because borders were something that were created by the West. So I think that, to answer your question, it depends on the region, right? Like for Haiti and Barbados, our restitution is more so reparations. What was the financial loss of that? Because our objects were left in Africa, right? Yeah. And then for the continent, it's more land, it's more artifacts, it's more human remains. But I think as a person of African descent, reparations are owed to us no matter where the geography is.
Okay. How is Open Society, pushing this movement that we're in now?
Yeah, I think an example of that is this conference. This is the first conference on the continent that has brought together such a diverse set of stakeholders, ranging from artists, creative communities. We have representatives from the African Union, ECOWAS. Former President of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma, was there to give the opening, and the keynote was President Nana. So it's very rare that this has been done on such a great level. And Open Society, about 2 years ago, we launched this initiative for the restitution of African heritage. So over the span of 2 years, we've been able to support African-led organizations with a budget of just at $10 million to help push the dial on this, and that includes convenings, that includes collaborating with the African Union for the Common Position document, supporting ECOWAS, and also supporting the real activists that are on the ground in the community and civil society.
Interesting. So, Mr. Ibrahim, we're having this discussion about restitution. Someone may probably be asking him or herself now, so what is this African heritage restitution we're talking about? How would you answer that question?
Well, it's many things. People started with the restitution of artifacts. But then when you read the AU Common African Position, it's talking about heritage resources, because it's not limited to artifacts that were stolen. It's related to many, many ways. She talked about human remains, but when you go, for example, on the scientific area, universities, many of our knowledge was stolen. And we want that knowledge back in our universities, so that our universities can teach those, have many, many resources that they can use to teach African their own history, their own science, their own culture and everything. So it's really, really very large. Now, sometimes the request is done by communities. Sometimes the request is done by the state itself. But usually it's done by communities. And because we are in international relation, and international relation is relation between states, communities have to go through the states to make their claim accepted, or at least to continue to pursue the claim at the international level. For example, I come from Senegal. Many African communities used to make claims, but the claim used to go to the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will examine the claim, but to continue the conversation, they need the states, either Benin or Senegal or Mali, to continue the conversation, because it requires, a relationship between two states. And then when they are successful, the artifacts will come back, or the heritage resources will come back, and now given back to the community, and for the community to decide what to do with the artifact, because this was not stolen in a museum. We don't know. The concept, the Western concept of museum is not our concept.
Okay.
It was coming from, you know, royal houses and, you know, sometimes even in places that the worship places.
Family homes,
yes,
shrines.
exactly, exactly. Jewelries, you know, in the French system, what the military used to do, every time they conquer a space, they will go after the families, the royal families, and steal all the jewelries. For example, in France, now Senegal, a community in Senegal is claiming the jewelries of their own family. You know, and it was coming from a French general.
Okay. Very interesting things. But what will we see for you, the Open Society, and all of us to know that we have achieved the objective for this restitution?
Well, I think there's many goals, right? Our goal is, yes, we must bring these artifacts back, but bringing them back is not enough. There's financial loss that needs to be repatriated. There's knowledge systems, and there's healing that needs to happen. There's healing that needs to happen between communities. There's healing that needs to happen amongst ourselves, and there's healing that needs to happen within states. So I think there's not just one goal. There's many, many goals, but right now we're focusing on getting the objects back. And, you know, my colleague Ibrahima here, he just said something very important, that the West, their version of what a museum is not what ours is. And I think that, you know, in order for Africa to strive when it comes to the museum space, we need to think about what a museum is and why are we bringing back these objects, also to just have them sitting behind glass. What does that teach us? So I think that this is a very opportune time for us to really rethink and reframe how we want to move forward with these objects, with our future. And really, you know, we should not be going to the West. The West should be coming to us.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Can I also add something which is really very important? What we discover in collaborating with community and state is that we created a situation whereby the state itself realized that it doesn't have the mechanics, it doesn't have the institution, the infrastructure, not only to communicate with the community, but also to discuss, to negotiate with the external actors.
Okay.
So mechanisms are being set
put in place,
put in place in many, many countries. And even ECOWAS, the AU, have now taken up the issues and making it their own issues.
Interesting. Really, like I told you yesterday, I pray that we regularly have this kind of conversations.
Yes.
Because look, yesterday when we spoke about this, my hometown people were all over, because then it brought to memory our king who was beheaded. And it started a whole discussion. So I think we need to have more of that, and to serve as a source by which we try to reignite, you know, the African in us, and to help us struggle for what is ours. But there's this Chale Wote festival that is happening now. I don't know if you know about it.
Yes.
You know about it?
Yes.
What was it a coincidence that this event is being done at the same time we're doing this, or? Yes,
I mean, I think you know, we did know Chale Wote was happening. I'm very aware of the street festival, but it was strictly coincidence.
Okay.
But, you know, I think the universe is guiding us and saying that this is important and we should be here at the same time.
At this time, I get it. So are you going to pass by and to do something there?
We will try our best to pass by, but as you know, we have a full schedule.
Okay. All right, grateful to you for passing by. Like I said, try and come by most of things so we can do this. Yeah. Yes. Veronica Chatelain, Senior Program Officer with the Open Society Foundation. Ibrahim Khan, a Special Advisor with the Open Foundation. Very, very solid people doing so well for the continent. Our prayers are with them. Well, at this point, let's cross over to Osu. And to join the Chale Wote Festival, IB, Ibrahim Bembrako, is at the Osu Castle as we speak. Let's go there now. IB, what's happening there now?
Well, Brace, thank you so very much. And we are still here. It is the third day of the Chalote Street Art Festival, and we're still here at the Castle Gardens. Well, I've been talking to Thamu, who, well, the name might sound like a South African, but he's from the Netherlands. And this is what he's doing. Beautiful thing. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll tell you what it is. Well, yeah, Thamu, sorry, let me take you away from your work again. Yes, you're telling me how you got to hear of the Chalote Street Art Festival, and this is your first time being part, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So when I came to Ghana in January, I reached out to some people in the creative industry because I wanted to actually express myself also when I was in Ghana. And they told me I had to be at the Chalawote Festival because it's one of the biggest, so that's why.
Are you expressing yourself enough?
Yeah.
Have you done it enough with this?
I hope so. I hope so. It's getting to be a big artwork, so yeah, for sure.
15 of you or 16 people have been working on this.
Exactly.
How long has it taken for you to come to this particular stage?
Since beginning of this month. So we've been doing workshops with them, creating a design, and then actually painting it also. So it took a while.
Are there any importance with the colors you decided to use?
Yeah, so some of the colors, they are like based on colors you see often in Ghana. We had different color options, but the group like collectively chose this one. And I think it also refers to the Ayalolo buses.
So that is what he is painting, and he has incorporated some Ga symbols together with the letters. So AAYALOLO, that is what is on each canvas, and with some Ga symbols. Okay, good. I'll let you go back to working, but when are you finishing this?
I hope to finish most of it before the end of this week, and then on Saturday during the Chalawote Festival we will have a dance performance in front of the painting at 3 p.m. And then we'll all be there, all the painters, and we'll put them all together and have a great performance.
And this will happen at the Independence Square, right?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for all your time. Well, we're still here, and I've seen another artist who's also going to be part of, the Chalote Street Art Festival, but his art is different. So many times, probably you see it on a TV and you haven't witnessed it live before, but if you want to see it live, you need to be at the Chalote Street Art Festival this weekend. Araka, how are you doing?
Yeah, fine, doing fine.
Great. Araka, so you tell me, what kind of art are you into, or are you going to be doing come this weekend?
Okay, actually, if I want to say, I'm always I'm a multi-creative artist. Okay. That's, let me say that, because I'm a dancer, I walk on the rope, I ride bicycle, and I do a lot of things, so I don't actually know who I am.
So this Saturday, he's actually going to be walking on a rope. You are walking on a rope, right?
Yeah, and I'll ride a bicycle also. But I won't dance for this year, I won't dance, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're riding bicycle and you're walking on a rope. When is it happening?
Oh, it will be, the rope will be Friday, and then the BMS tricks, me and my crew work on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Well, I'm very interested in the rope. I'm very, very interested in the rope. Exactly where is it happening, and when should people come in wanting to see what you are doing?
Okay, this year, what I want to do is I want to do it like a workshop. I want to teach the children how to do this thing for the rope session. Okay. Because I'm training, I always want to give it out for the children. So this year it will be inside the rope, it will be inside here. But the BMS tricks and things will be outside, in the Independence Square and on the street.
So the rope will be here at the castle?
Yes, here at the castle.
You'll be teaching? Oh, okay, a workshop.
Like a workshop to train the children how to do it. The juggling, acrobatics tricks and things, yeah. Okay. I will show the children here. I'll make a bit workshop, yeah.
Well, Abraka, thank you very much. I'm so eager to see that workshop. Probably I will even join and take a few steps on the rope.
That
is if I won't fall.
Yeah, you won't fall.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that is the excitement that has been built here at the Chalote Street Art Festival. But let me just update you on what will be happening tonight. Well, this evening there's going to be the film screening, or the film labs, which is done together with Chalote and the Black Star International Film Festival, together with the Film Society Africa. That is what will be happening. Some of the films that will be screening will be the Heroines, the Ganaba the drama. This thing, Charlie, this my guy is very bad, but let me try it. Ashwe Pwena. and a few other films. And it's starting at 5 p.m. And there will be a lot of films. There are also going to be workshops, and there are going to be other forums that are going to portray and also highlight on film writing and film directing. So a lot of things are going to go on today and also through till the weekend, and it is open, it is free gate, so a lot of people can come and see how it has been done before it is finally being installed at the Independence Square. This is where it all begins. You saw what Alamu was doing. I've also had a few conversations with Gato, AE, and Christy, the wonderful lady amongst the men, or she's the only lady. Wonderful, beautiful art that has been happening here. So you can come here and see. Please, I implore all of you, come and appreciate art, and also come and see some of the short films and the docuseries that will be screened this evening. Very educative. It takes us back into who we are. It gives us self-actualization and also get to know our roots to be able to appreciate our culture. All this is being told, and we are just telling our culture and traditions to the world. So Brace, that is what is happening here, and that is the updates
for that one. So that's what is happening at the Chale Arts and Cultural Festival. Do pass by and reconnect with your soul, the African soul. That's it for you. And as we do that, don't forget to drink enough water, because water is life. Whilst you're doing it, remember to take Awake, because Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all purposes: 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pocket and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for homes and offices. All you must do now is drink Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake purified drinking water today and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, we say one for life, because for every bottle you buy, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. And this Awake is another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. For bulk purchase, call 0262-351-251. This advert is FDA approved. Well, good morning to you, Asase at Ghana Gas. You and your guys, thank you for all that you do for Ghana. Well, on that note, from our team here, on behalf of the team, I say thank you for being part of us this morning, allowing us to be part of your morning. We meet again tomorrow. Until then, please be good. News Desk is up next.